That button says it's recording.
As long as the road's recording.
Give me 2 seconds. Hello and welcome back, lads, to On The Esky, a sports podcast where we wrap up all the week in sport and have a few beers and talk some dribble as always. Today's show, we've got the T20 World Cup heavily underway, a lot of matches, a lot of good cricket. Of course, we'll preview week 8 of the NFL and the NFL Hour. NBA's in full swing. We've got some EPL news. Then there's a big final round. We've got UFC. We've got to look at the upcoming 267. Some chat about Mike Tyson and Logan Paul as well. And then there's NRL, AFL, F1 and MLB news as well. As always, if you like this content, please chuck us a subscribe on the YouTube or follow on the Instagram. There are timestamps below for all the various sports, so you can jump about. And of course, for first time, back in the studio, boys back.
Yeah.
I would lick you, but I don't want that on camera.
That's after, baby.
That's OnlyFans.
On the Esky OnlyFans. You guys don't like and subscribe. That's what we're going to have to get to. So please, boys, we're back in the fucking studio. So I'm pumped about that. The sound quality is going to be up, I think. We don't have to rely on my shitty internet cutting in and out. I've actually just been using that as a cover for when I forget how to talk and actually just start going, oh, sorry, boys, the internet's no good. But no,
so you just sound like me normally.
Yeah, that's right. Trying to work out the difference between 185. A counting friend over on my left. No, but in all seriousness, it is good to see boys in the flesh. It's been a long time since we've been sitting around this table, and I think it's always better podcasting, sitting around each other as we would in a non-COVID setting.
Yeah, conversational.
That's right.
Yeah.
Might be good for a little bit of back and forth. As we like to do, we like to shout a beer to start off the show. Monks, can you take it away? And good luck with the name. I think you'll be right.
Yeah, we'll see how we go. So this week, I would like to shout a beer to Dushmanthra Chamira. I almost got there.
Yeah, close.
I got the first name right.
Yeah, I think that was pretty good.
That's probably the harder of the two as well.
Yeah, no. There's that little red squiggly line underneath Chamira has really undone you there.
Completely threw me off.
Did you mean Chamira?
That's it. So I'm shouting Chamira a beer this week for outperforming our John Howard and bowling the worst ball ever in cricket. So he's
and that's not just at international level. This is every grade, every age group, under sixes, and the bloke's done it in the World Cup.
In the World Cup, yeah. Mm-hmm. So Sri Lankan quickie, he's gone in, he's run up for the delivery, and then has just pitched it 2 meters in front of him and about 3 meters wide left.
Off the pitch. Off the pitch.
Yeah.
So Sunday Social, that is a fine. So Chamira, put him down in the books. That's a skull and a fine. This was reminiscent of that John Howard ball in Pakistan. I'm sure very all Australians are aware of our former fearless leader. He could lead the country for 12 years, was it? 12 years, Howard. And he could bowl a delivery with about 12 bounces, getting it down to the other end.
I don't think it made the other end. It was about 2 meters.
Yeah, disgusting from both, really. The only difference is one was a politician and this guy is a professional cricketer. We're just having a look at it now. Wowee. For one, I was going to say it was going to go to about gully. However, it didn't have the pace to get to gully. It just kind of just dribbled there. Finchy's watching that, just going wowee woah. And I think Finch got out not long after this. It really unsettled him.
That's it. But yeah, we'll get to that in a second once when we do a wrap of the T20 World Cup.
We'll dive deep.
Yeah, who have you got this week for a shout of beer?
I have got Corey Bellamore. He's a Canadian. He broke his own world record in one of what should be an elite event in my opinion, the beer mile. Look at this time, boys. 4:28 and 10 hundredths of a second. So that's to run a mile, right? The only caveat is every quarter mile, every 400 metres, you've got to scull a beer. So the bloke has
That's a decent effort.
Yeah, under 4.5 minutes. I don't know if it's 3 or 4 beers sculled and run a mile in that time too. So elite pace on both his running and drinking. Maybe a sport that I could aspire to do. I don't mind going for a run. I probably don't run 2Ks I probably don't run a kilometre in that time. So I'd have to get a lot quicker, but Maybe the beer sculling, who knows?
We'll see.
So I assume he was not stationary for the beer sculling. He could scull on the move.
I just read the story. Admittedly, if I'm shouting the bloke, maybe I should watch the vision of it. Sculling on the run. No, to run that time, I can't imagine he stops because they used to talk about
unless it's like a 3 or 4 second scull, like it's just straight down the hatch.
No, I reckon it's on the move. I reckon it has to be on the move because they used to always talk about the coveted 4-minute mile being like an elite athlete, and it was, I think, that didn't get broken until about the 1960s. So this is sculling beers whilst running 4 minutes 28. Elite athlete in both the athletic sense and in the drinking sense. It'd be a bit of fun on footy trip, you'd imagine.
Yes.
If there's ever a sport that we could sponsor once we actually start making money, it's got to be the beer mile.
I think I got it right. So we've got it here. They're walking. We got spews. We got a lot of spews, and he's going quick. So it's on a track here, and so
he sculls after it as well,
and he's sculling out of the cup as well. Good on him. There's a whole fucking thing on YouTube about Corey Belmore.
Yeah, they've got the women's race, men's and women's race.
Yeah, so they've got their beers there. And what are the boys doing there? They've gone a few pale ales, a few fucking hipster fucking 8%ers. Boys, just get something that's water. They're set. And you can see as they start, they kind of walk and scull and then they take off. Elite viewing this. Anyways, shout out to Corey Bellamore. The fastest man over a mile with 4 chugs under his belt.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
There you go. Impressive sports news there, Peppy.
Thank you.
So for my shout out beer, I've gone more into the professional realm of sports, and I'm going to give you the layup here, Fabio
Quartaro. I think there's another Raro in there.
Quartaro. He's got too many A and R's in his name. That's probably his only downfall.
He's French, isn't he? That's an Italian-sounding name.
Yes.
El Diablo, they call him.
Mm-hmm. But also, the point being, he's the first Frenchman to win a Premier Class title, and that has to be the world champion for the MotoGP. He wraps up that title and wins the title for the MotoGP for him. So that's impressive. First Frenchman to do it. So
El Diablo. How many beers did he scull while he was doing it? Can't imagine that's too safe, travelling at the speeds that they go.
No. Probably had a couple of wines, I'm assuming, to stereotype afterwards. But that's my shout out beer. Good shout out to him for winning the MotoGP this season.
Shout out to Fabio.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So with that, I think it means it's cricket time.
We'll just go back to Corey Belmore. I did watch the start of the race. They drink the beer before they start running.
Okay.
That's one beer, though.
That's one beer.
He's coming through to the next, and he's walking while sculling.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess he slows down skull. So
that's what they've kind of in like a
so they've got like this
a skull section.
Drink station, about 2-3 meter drink station where they scull it and then they go for the next lap.
That is such an elite sport.
You finally found something.
I've found something, boys. I can't run that fast.
well, I was going to say we should get you out on
your strengths. You work on your strengths.
Yeah.
You know, Shaq couldn't shoot a free throw, could he?
No.
He couldn't shoot a free throw, but could he scull a fucking beer?
So you reckon based off sculling a beer faster than the next bloke?
just really get him there, and those few seconds that you gain, over 4 beers, I might be able to pull ahead of the crowd there. Corey, I'm coming for you, bruh.
Yeah, we'll have to set this up. We'll have to set a benchmark time for you.
Let's go do a bit of fun.
Yeah.
I'll go do 6.5 minutes, spew 8 times, and go, boys, I'm done.
It'll be elite viewing though.
That's it. He's just found an easy way to scab beers off us.
hey, it's for our enjoyment. It's our enjoyment.
It's sponsored, but it's sponsored. Look at the rigs on the bus. He's got a fucking rig, man. Yeah. It doesn't look like he excels too much in the beer drinking domain.
So that 4 minute 28 makes sense when you work out that he's a professional athlete.
Yeah. He does the beer drinking on the side.
Yeah, but you're going with the aspect you're a professional beer drinker.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and you make up with your long legs. Let's go.
Ben Simmons is in the NBA, can't shoot for shit. All right,
cricket. We're going to get a second to cricket. T20 World Cup, of course. I think the West Indies taking on
Bangladesh.
Yeah,
that'll be kick off during our show. Mm-hmm. However, we may as well run through the first lot of proper games.
Where are we up to, Peps? get us to that point.
Well, let's go back to game one of the tournament official of the Super 12s.
Yep.
And it saw our Aussies taking on the Republic of South Africa. We tried to pick the team beforehand. We thought one of the quicks might miss out in favour of Ashton Agar. They ended up going with all three quicks in Stark, Cummins, Hazelwood and Zampa, and then trusted, I think, Maxwell and Mitch Marsh to get through the other overs. And it was a bit of a slow deck, not one for the fan that likes a lot of runs. South Africa made a measly 118. Quinton de Kock, we'll talk about him in just a second. He had one of the most unlucky dismissals you'll ever see of Josh Hazelwood, trying to pull him and kind of got some iteration of bat and body, went straight up in the air and landed on his stumps. Aidan Markram with the best of the Saffers there with 40 of 36. And good to see Hazelwood, Zampa, Cummins all bowling well. And then we made this very, very difficult for ourselves, chasing a measly 118. That's very Australian of us. You can think of a few times where we've struggled
as we do.
in the longer formats of the game, chasing a smaller target. But Steve Smith sort of got us off to a runner ball start. And then we started losing a few, and I thought, oh, fuck me. Nordica had a few up his sleeve. Rabada had a few up his sleeve. I was a little bit worried. Enter the Greek freak of Australian proportions, Big Puppy, they call him, Marcus Stoinis. He's half cricketer, half god, and he came out there and belted a quick 24 of 16, got us home. We were concerned because if we lost this game, I really was concerned about the rest of our tournament, given we've got England and a not-so-fiery West Indies coming up.
Yes.
Did you boys catch it? This was late Saturday night. I smashed a Red Bull. I'd been down the pub, and then I was like, I need to watch this. Smashed the Red Bull, watched the game, was fired up, and I was thinking about Marcus Stoinis. Could barely get to sleep.
I bet your missus was enjoying that.
Yeah, she's going, what's wrong with you? I said, I can't stop thinking about Stoinis.
She's just like, take the tall bag, go in the bathroom.
That's right. Come back in 5, you'll be real sleepy.
I caught
Five's a bit long.
The Red Bull, man, they make you go for hours. Gives you wings.
I caught the first half of this, the Australian bowling part of it, and it's, like you said, low scoring. I think it's been low scoring in that area.
Yeah, mostly. We saw that in the back end of the IPL too.
Yeah. So, it was, though they only got 118, knowing that as well, it was like you said, Australia coming into it, maybe we're going to struggle to get there, but hey, we did it in the end. So we needed the win. The win, I think, is probably the most important thing,
big time,
especially over South Africa, because they're. If we're thinking about, what was it, the first two go through?
First two go through, and it's just us and England at the moment. But we will have a look at the standings later in the show.
It's you got to get a win against them to,
crucial.
To stay with England for us, essentially.
Yes.
So, it was a good there. So, speaking of England, they then take on the West Indies and run through them by all accounts.
Made a fucking mockery of them. We were all a little bit concerned about the West Indies, two-time champs, coming into this one. Their firepower, at least on name value, was something to kind of stammer at. And I don't know if it was England bowling well or the West Indies just, when we lose a few quick wickets and you'll send in like a Smith or someone to just try and recover, say off a few. The Wendy's, they just keep keep throwing the kitchen sink at it, and they were dismissed for 55. I think that's the third lowest total ever in T20 World Cup history. Adil Rashid, that is not a typo there, boys. 4 for 2. He had there, absolutely been the daddy of the West Indies. England lost 4, but they got the job done. Josh Bottler had 24 not out. Don't know why I said that in an English accent. And the West Indies, they went on to lose their next game. We'll get onto that in a sec. I was kind of thinking they're the kind of team that will make 55 or 205. Doesn't seem to be that middle ground, but they're in all kinds of trouble. Sri Lanka played Bangladesh. An entertaining game. I don't know if you guys saw any of the highlights of this. A lot of expats there in the Emirates. Bangladeshis. We'll get to India and Pakistan in a moment. But it seemed like a game in Dakar. We really had that home field advantage for the Bangladeshis. They batted first and they made a reasonable 4 for 171. But the biggest story out of this one was the tempers flaring between Leighton Das and Lahira Kumara. Word
said or hands thrown?
Word said. Word said. Yeah.
Push and shove?
No push and shove. No. Leighton.
Very cricketer of them.
Very cricketer. Yeah. Not quite the swing, the Javid meandered swinging of the bat, physical abuse, but right in each other's grill. It was Kumara that had dismissed us and got right in his face and said a few choice words to him, and Dust didn't really like it. There's a little bit of back and forth. Anyways, the game went on. Mohammad Naeem and Mushfiqur Rahim getting the runs for the Bangladeshis. But Sri Lanka, it was pretty much a one-man show after Bangladesh got off to a reasonable start. It was all Charith Asalanka, 80 not out, put the Sri Lankans on his back, and it was in his 5th T20 international, 24 years old. That would feel pretty good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. And it may potentially put Sri Lanka in a semi-decent position there as well.
Yes.
Based on what we're concerned about for Australia, but we'll get to that. Keep going. I think the big match, the one we want to talk about, is Pakistan versus India.
Pakistan and India, it's El Clasico in cricket. It is, like, we talk about the Ashes and...
it's their rival. It's their comparison.
Yeah. The Ashes is, what's Australia? 26 million people, and what have they got in that shitty, muddy, rainy island? About 55 million? Let's call it 80 million, okay?
Yeah. At least double us.
India and Pakistan is a nation of 200 plus million taking on a nation of 1.2 billion people. It's one of the biggest rivalries in sport. Pakistan had never defeated India in a T20 World Cup until this. So India batted first. They made 7 for 151. It was Shaheen Shah Afridi. Apparently he's 21 years old. If he's 21, I'm fucking 16. He bowls left arm rapid. And how about the 3 wickets that he got? Rohit Sharma, KL Rahul, and then Virat Kohli, who did make 57. It was Shah that got him in his second spell. Rishabh Pant made a few. And Harris Ralph, not too bad with the ball there. And 151, you thought, the way things have been going in the Emirates, about
decent
par, maybe even over par.
Yeah.
Not if Mohammad Rizwan and Babar Azam had anything to do with it. They beat him by 10 fucking wickets.
Yeah. Did it easy.
They smoked him, and I was looking it up. India have never lost a T20 international, not at the World Cup, just a T20 international by 10 wickets ever. So absolutely stunned them. Did you boys see any? They had it on the news here, some of the scenes from Karachi and Lahore. It was like they won the World Cup. There was parties in the streets, a few illegal firearms being discharged. Massive for Pakistan. And we spoke about it last week. We were kind of like, India and New Zealand are the teams to watch out for, but we can't sleep on Pakistan.
Yep.
On further assessment of their the amount of games that they've played, especially just between Baba and Rizwan and Fakhar, they have got a wealth of T20 experience, and they they're pretty much assured of going through because they did win their next game, which we'll speak about in a second. But the first major upset of the tournament, all of us had India, as did the world, as being the red hot favourites for this tournament, and a nice... little upset to sort of start us off.
So what did you think about the Indian bowling attack? Then it's like we used the word elite bowling attack there to not be able to pick up a single wicket. Where did they go wrong? Was it just not their day, or they just...
It is strange considering we've just come off the IPL and all of these guys have got a lot of cricket under their belt. We didn't see Mohammad Rizwan or Babar Azam in the IPL. They had been playing a few games for Pakistan here and there. But Pakistan, we had New Zealand pulling out of the tour.
Yep.
So they literally haven't played competitive cricket. And then they just come out and do this. It caught everyone by surprise, I think. But hats off to Rizwan and Babar Azam. They are world-class white ball cricketers. And under the coaching of Matthew Hayden as well, I think they're... let's put it down to that. The Aussie influence, I think.
We'll claim it.
That's what got them there. But a massive, massive upset. We move forward, boys. Afghanistan defeated Scotland by 130 runs. And two fellas that we've seen in the Big Bash in Mujib ur Rahman and Rashid Khan had him absolutely on toast. And moving forward,
5 for 20 is not bad, but 4 for 9 is also quite good.
not quite an Adil Rashid 4 for 2.
Yeah, but it's still quite good. So for Scotland.
And I think the other guy that took a wicket there was a spinner. So all spinners there, the Afghans, that's what they're definitely their strength is their spin stocks. And then probably for the wrong reasons, the most talked about game of the week.
Yes.
South Africa went out and beat the West Indies. Evan Lewis continued his good form. We saw him at the back end of the IPL making 56. Anrik Nautica, 1 for 14 or 4. He's just about unplayable in the short format. And South Africa got the runs thanks to Aiden Markram and Rassie van der Dusen. The elephant in the room, boys. It happened before the game. We kind of woke up to the news here that Quinton de Kock had either been not named or had voluntarily pulled out. He had disagreed with the team being mandated to kneel for the Black Lives Matter movement. He had been standing whilst the team knelt in the Australian game.
He wasn't the only one. They had a lot of...
Some were standing with a hand up in the air, some were kneeling.
Yeah, so there wasn't a clear...
uniform.
Exactly. So there'd already been talk about it in the media. So I think cricket, South Africa were like, well, we don't want to be talked in that way. Let's make a decision. And they've gone, you need to do this. And de Kock's like, hey, I'm not comfortable with you forcing me to...
Mandates.
Mandates. Yeah, mandates it. So
we've been talking a little bit about other mandates of the vaccine variety, and both are absolute can of worms, aren't they? Yeah. We probably try to stay a little bit more sport and dribble politics side of things than politics and hundreds of years of race relations. The news coming out of today is that Quinton will probably play again in this tournament. It doesn't seem like his teammates feel like he's offside. Temba Bavuma, the captain, he didn't really chastise him. He's kind of said he respected his decision. The world's sort of spoken at length that everyone likes to have their 2 cents in these kind of situations. I don't know. I always kind of say when we talk about rugby league players and we say...
Well, they're meatheads.
We say, but they're not like... Sports people shouldn't have to be role models. Do you know? If I've kind of under the impression, if you want to look for role models outside of sporting arenas, look outside the sporting arena. But
look at your sciences and your
Nobel laureates. How many people can name a Nobel laureate of late?
Entertainers, and that's what they are, is probably the wrong form of role model.
Sure,
so.
I think Donald Trump's a Nobel laureate. Actually, that's a pretty good place to start. Check that. You might have to fact check that. I know Obama definitely is. See if Trump ever won a Nobel Peace Prize.
I'm sure he said he would.
He wanted one and they didn't pick him. I think he was pissed about it. Okay. That was the news story. Anyway, politics. Let's forget about that.
Yeah, Nobel Prizes. But we might start another podcast on Nobel Prizes. Great listening. Look, it's been done to death. I couldn't... Look, for me... They're sports people. I'd rather watch them play cricket than give their 2 cents about race or politics or any of the rest of it. But the take-home story is it seems like de Kock will be playing again in this tournament and his teammates don't seem too upset by it.
Yeah, and he released a very detailed, I think 2.5 sort of pages worth of statement today.
Yeah.
The false position, and if you really want to understand what his thoughts were, go read that. It's probably my best example. Point I can give you. Go away and have a read of that and see what his thoughts were on the situation.
So Trump got nominated for a Peace Prize, but didn't win it.
He didn't win it. So a Norwegian politician nominated him, and he didn't win it.
He was
pretty big to get nominated.
He was pissed he didn't get one.
And that's the end on that.
All right, back to Pakistan versus New Zealand. Let's go back.
So before the tournament started, we had highlighted New Zealand as the second favourite coming out of this group behind India.
And I might take fault for this as well because I think I brought it up. But I very much think their test form, which is elite at the moment, may have swayed my opinion and their bias to their T20 because got to remember, Australia did go to New Zealand and win quite a few matches against New Zealand.
Yeah, we did lose that series though, 3-2. And the thing is, it was a long time ago. They haven't played a lot of short format cricket, neither have Pakistan.
Yeah, which is kind of my thinking. So maybe I overvalued where their T20 side was compared to where their Test team is.
And how many of the Kiwis were in the IPL? Well, none of the Pakistanis were. We had Williamson, who's the big, tall, quick. I think we had maybe 2 Kiwis in the IPL. So neither of these guys,
neither sides,
having a lot of short format cricket under their belt. New Zealand batted first. They made 8 for 134. Lots of starts with Daryl Mitchell, Devon Conway, Kane Williamson, but no big scores. Harris Ralph, 4 for 22, his best in T20 internationals. That big man, Shaheen Shah Afridi, was pretty good. Baba got out early. Rizwan looked pretty good. And some really nice hitting from Asif Ali to finish them off. But Pakistan, they got the runs in the 19th over. They are on top of Group 2. I don't think anyone really saw that coming. And they've played New Zealand and India, so their run home is Afghanistan, Namibia, and Scotland.
They should win all of those.
You wouldn't want to put it in the books, but let's put it in the books. Pakistan are probably going to win the group, and we'll be playing in a semi-final.
Yeah, I would think so.
They've done all the heavy lifting early, and it would take some kind of catastrophe for them to not top the group, let alone miss out.
And then the next match, England taking on Bangladesh, for England to keep pace, of course, with Australia, who will win their game against Sri Lanka. We'll talk about that in a minute. But England do defeat Bangladesh by 8 wickets. Bangladesh start off, they get 9 for 124. Good bowling from Chris Wokes. He got 1 for 12 from his ball, which is pretty good. And Moeen Ali, 2 for 18 for him. So overall, pretty good bowling attack.
Yeah, a really good team bowling effort there from England. That's what they kind of... They're just a good team at T20 level. They don't really have superstar guys. Or the guy that got a lot of runs, Jason Roy, would be pretty close to a T20 superstar. But yeah, they just seem like one of the more well-rounded teams in this lineup. We won't spend too long on this one, but Namibia, they defeated Scotland by 4 wickets. I had a look. It's actually their first time ever at the T20 World Cup, and it's their first win in a Super 10 or Super 12 format. So shout out to the Namibians.
Random question for you. How pissed do you think the Scotland team are getting between matches? Like they're essentially, it's a boys' trip at this point.
Yeah.
It's probably the wrong country for it, but...
The hotels, mate. The hotels is, you can do what you want. I don't know if you'd want to really test the boundaries in the streets, cruising around at 4 a.m. in Sharjah, looking for, you got some iron brew, lad. I got some iron brew. I got to play Afghanistan in fucking 6 hours.
Isn't Iron Brew a soft drink as well?
No, they mixed it though. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Iron Brew.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a boys' trip from now on. If you lose to Namibia, fuck me, lad. Hey?
Anyway, we better talk about Australia taking on Sri Lanka. Australia defeats Sri Lanka by 7 wickets. Monks, do you have some the scorecard
just
there?
Bring up that scorecard. I wanted to ask you about the alternate kit. We're rocking 2 kits. So we've got the retro one, the one that we had for the World Cup in 2019, which, to be honest, I'm not a big fan of. I quite like this retro. The non-retro one.
Which is more dark colours.
Darker colours. I think it looks a bit less gimmicky for my own personal preference.
Does this have the Indigenous design on it as well?
I think, there might be a little
or is
bit.
That looks like a Southern Cross there on the side, though, on Warner, on his ribs there. Oh, I could be wrong. Either way,
I think there is a bit of Indigenous. Yeah, see in the faint,
in the back there. Oh yeah, I can see it in the bottom. Yeah.
Looks good though.
Yeah, it's not too
Long
bad.
story short.
Not enough green and gold.
So what is it? It's kind of nearly black.
Well, it's like a lime green that then fades into a yellow, I'd say, with a black on top. That's me nitpicking.
I think chuck that in with the Nobel Prize chat. Our understanding of
can you bring up the Australian scorecard there, James?
Different iterations of colours. Yeah, it's green and gold, but it's not fucking green and gold, is it? We won this game, so that was very, very good for morale. We're a 2-0, and we're looking. I don't want to put the mocker on us, but we're looking pretty good to make this.
We're winning the games we need to win.
Sri Lanka batted first, made 154. Kusal Pereira 35. Charith Asalanka 35 as well. Adam Zampa, man of the match performance, 2 for 12. And we kind of cruised to the win here. And David Warner, he silenced the critics. Before the game, I think he said, I think the press were asking him about his lack of form or lack of perceived form. And he said, mate, I'm not out of form.
I just haven't been able to play because they wouldn't pick me.
Hadn't been picked for Hyderabad. And lo and behold, he's out there looking like old David Warner. He did get dropped on 18, absolute sitter by the keeper. So we've had some fucking howlers from the Sri Lankans with the worst ball ever bowled in cricket history, and one of the worst keeping drops ever. Aaron Finch looked good.
So my concern is Maxwell there. He hasn't fired in the last two. Though coming off his form in IPL,
that's what I think.
Yeah, I thought he'd carry it a bit more and maybe. I don't know.
I'm not concerned. From what we saw, if he was coming off no runs in the IPL and then we saw these 2 failures, I'd be like, oh, fuck, Maxwell shouldn't be batting 3. Yeah. Like, I'm not concerned. 2 failures in games that we won. He'll
get a solid pass at this point.
Yeah. Oh, and it's funny because a week ago we were saying, outside of Maxwell, we've got no form, so that's cricket, that's cricket.
Well, I think Marsh was the only other one with form and didn't bat in this one.
Not required in this one. Yeah. So, looking okay.
Yeah, even with that, like, you're looking at Warner and Finch, the scores they've got, Maxwell's just like, all right, I'll just hit it around, see what happens. Didn't really
as Maxwell does.
Yeah. He didn't have to worry about staying in there and trying to get some
throw
runs.
the bat at it, see what happens.
Yeah.
Not too concerned over here. No. Marcus Stoinis, 16 off 7, not out. Fuck, he's hot. All right, boys.
Anything else you want to bring up on the tables before we move on?
So we've got England and ourselves.
Actually, that's
in Group 1.
The big match, India, New Zealand coming up.
India, New Zealand. That will be Sunday night. That is essentially for second place.
Yep.
So assuming, on that soft side of the draw, the pussy side of the draw, the weak side of the draw,
they all win.
Look, that's for that second final spot. You'd imagine, can Afghanistan steal a game off New Zealand or India?
I was considering this because they've kind of positioned themselves in a good spot there as well.
Only one game. You watch,
sneak one,
mate. You see Rashid.
That could be very interesting.
Rashid Khan on a deck when it's going left, right. Good night.
And flogging Scotland has very much helped their run rate as well.
They're all pissed on fucking Iron Brew, mixed, of course. Could Afghanistan steal a game? Perhaps. I don't think so. I think that is literally like a quarterfinal Sunday night, India and New Zealand. Ta-ta to the loser.
So just remind us what happens to the rest of the tournament. The top 2 go through.
So
is it 1 plays 2 from the other side? Is that how it works out?
I imagine. Yeah, it's 1 versus 2. I haven't actually looked so far as the semi-finals. I've been just looking at our schedule and kind of going, oh, geez, we're a real solid chance. Mind you, I'm assuming that we beat Bangladesh and the West Indies, who have both gotten off to 0-2 starts. And who did we just lose series to? Oh, that's right, Bangladesh and the West Indies. So perhaps shouldn't get too ahead of myself or ourselves as Australian supporters, but definitely started off in the right way. And it does show, we were making excuses perhaps when we saw those lackluster performances from the Australian cricket team touring Bangladesh and the West Indies. But it does make a big difference when you've got guys like Warner and Finch and Maxwell playing. Yeah,
well, we talked about our big names that weren't involved in that tournament. They're around. We'll see how much of a difference that makes. We'll see what happens. And as James was just looking up there, so the 2 semi-finals leads into a final, of course. I assume 1 play 2 from 1 play from Division 1 and to plays Division 2's 2.
Yeah, that was poorly explained. I'm with you.
Group A, Group B, 1 versus 2, 2 versus 1.
Boom, boom.
Yeah.
I want you in my room.
Something like that.
So, yeah.
The IPL.
Yeah, the final cricket news for the T20 World. The IPL and its growth, they were looking to add another 2 teams for next season, so they go from 8 to 10. Of course, trying to capitalise on that big international growth. They're going across, the huge money. But it sounds like they've ejected over $2 billion from one, I think, is a US venture, and the other one is an Indian tycoon to add these two new teams. So I think one of them was I think the US venture was like a 1 point something, and then the difference was made up by the other tycoon.
These are in Aussie dollars, aren't they? Yeah.
Hard to say. Could be USD. But anyway.
I think that 2.1 is Aussie dollars, and in USDs it was about 1.5 which is fucking crazy money.
But we're still talking
money.
Billions of dollars. And I think it's kind of just showing how the IPL is very much going onto the international stage of the sport as a sport. Because you talk about the $1 billion clubs, you think about the Premier League, you think about the NFL and the American sports like those. What those clubs that are worth billions of dollars. For the IPL to start moving into that echelon or that tier. It's very impressive.
That's the way they're going. And
considering it's 11 years old next season.
14, it's 14, I'm pretty sure.
14. But even still, it's in the teens.
That's right.
Compared to, what did I mention before, two leagues that are over 100 years old? So
the English Premier League is over 100. And the NFL...
they did the 100 years 2 years ago?
Yeah.
So, it's
pretty wild.
Yeah, it is wild.
Pretty wild.
So just shows the growth in the sport, in the location.
T20 cricket, mate. You've it's like Manchester United, Dallas Cowboys... Delhi Capitals, Hobart Hurricanes. That's kind of the upper echelon of elite sporting clubs, isn't it? So it was Lucknow and Hyderabad that got awarded the two new spots. Hyderabad obviously have that new stadium, bigger than the MCG. So that will be interesting to see a full house there coming up. And Lucknow, I had a little look. It's probably a little surprising for them to be awarded it. It is a city in Uttar Pradesh, which is the most populated state in India.
I was going to ask, what's their population?
Uttar Pradesh is about 200 million people.
I think they could support one T20 team.
So maybe if they get a little bit of commuting in or whatnot into Lucknow, that would be interesting. Did I say Hyderabad?
Yes, you did.
Ahmedabad. Hyderabad, obviously, haven't seen Sunrisers.
I was just like, well, they may double up, but they have the Sunrisers. So
Cross city.
My mistake. My apologies. Ahmedabad.
All good.
Yeah, but no, very cool to see the league grows. 10 teams. Wonder more matches. They played 60 matches in the season across it.
You think they still play each other twice? The money's too good. They did have 10 teams a few years ago, and it didn't work out, so they canned them. So it'll be interesting to see what happens this time around.
Well, it sounds like they've got way more significant backing. Lots of big cash going around, so maybe they'll stay around. And I think we mentioned it last week. Their auction is middle of December.
It's coming up, and it seems like it's going to be a real reboot. I think each team can only retain 4 of their players.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think take the Australians for example. I think a lot of the Australians potentially on the move from where they were last season.
Indeed. Bangladesh and the West Indies about to kick off. We'll keep an eye on that as the podcast goes on. The master blaster, the universe boss, Chris Gale. Don't blush, baby. He is opening the batting.
Go back up,
and we'll see what happens with Evan Lewis, who is in very good form.
So our final question in the IPL and comes from the big fan of the Esky, Ricken Patel.
Shout out to Ricken. Thank you for always listening and giving your comments. We appreciate it.
And we do appreciate the questions because this is a very interesting one. The IPL combining regular season and playoff stats together, which doesn't help out, of course, the teams that are going to make the playoffs. But, for the overall standings for like best bats, best bowler, etc., for the tournament includes their playoff stats. We were trying to have a think about what sports do this. Nearly every sport I could think of has a separation. Like you have your regular season stats and then you have your playoff stats.
So the NFL is an
NFL classic for us because you definitely have guys in the Hall of Fame that have crazy playoff records, and then they have pretty good, of course, regular season records. But it shows when the games mattered, they took another step up to show that they were premier players. Combining that makes it hard to, of course, work it out. You'd have to do the more legwork yourself. But I think for a season, would you want to, using the NFL as an example, wait until after the Super Bowl to crown your MVP based on what those guys did in the playoffs? To me, it just seems odd. That's my opinion.
every sport does it differently. Apologies, Rickon, if you're not familiar with our sports here down under. So the AFL and the NRL, our premier codes down here. So if you play finals, that goes into your stats.
Mm-hmm.
However, for the voting for the best player, the MVP, the Brownlow medal, and the Dally M medal will only be taken off regular season to make it fair for those people that didn't make the finals, the playoffs, if you will. It is hard because we saw KL Rahul being the leading run scorer with his Punjab Kings until the playoffs came around and then got usurped. I think he fell to third. It's interesting how each team does it differently. I don't mind combining it. I think if you're doing an MVP, maybe, like a Brownlow kind of system.
You have your season MVP and you playoff MVP.
That's right. But I also don't like having different categories when you
also true.
Say in the NFL, when you've got, these are their regular season stats, but then here's all the stuff that they did in the playoffs. A la Tom Brady, for example, where
we're going to talk a lot about NFL. I'm going to make you work hard. Can you find an MVP that their team didn't make the playoffs?
That is a great question.
So I
can't think of one. No, I can't think of one.
And I think that's kind of the reason. Like, if you're I guess jumping steps, making some more leaps here. That if you're going to be the MVP of a season, your team's probably playing playoffs because you've had that elite season. Especially in team sports, your team supported you to get to that point to be elite. It's very rare that you have a guy that becomes MVP and then that team doesn't play playoffs unless he's had some utterly ridiculous season in the process.
Indeed. Yeah, I can't think of one. And the same goes for the NBA. I can't really think of an NBA MVP whose team doesn't make the playoffs. You don't really see it in any kind of level. But it's an interesting thing. It's something that cricket always does. Their playoff games in World Cups, they still go down as an ODI or a T20 international, regardless of the stage of the stage of the tournament. So I don't mind it. It rewards the teams that go far. So, for me, play on IPL.
Yeah, well,
you don't like it, do you?
No, I don't mind it too much. I'm just wondering if I could make a suggestion to improve it.
Yes.
I'm trying to think.
Who listens may be a completely different story, but you made this.
No, I'm trying to think what would be my suggestion be if I was trying to improve that situation. So someone like Rahul that missed out would be rewarded for his regular season play in that regards, and I kind of
What do you get? Orange cap. That's what you fucking get, an orange cap. Well done.
He had
run scorer.
He had it and then taken off him.
Here's a cap worth $28. Well done.
I don't know. I can't think of anything now off the top of my head of how I'd improve that situation.
I like the stats going, to be real stats, but you decide on the MVP, the best player, whatever name you want to give it. You decide on that at the end of the league and not include the playoffs.
Yes. Yeah, because I would think man of the match for whatever the final is another award in itself.
Sure.
So that's kind of, I think for me, that's a combination of your playoff series is you want to be the MVP, the man of the match for whatever that last match is. Because you hopefully have that also helped your team win that match and then win the tournament. That's kind of I guess the difference. Then I like to see between the two, the regular and the playoff season.
Sure. Alas, IPL, I'm sure you're listening to this big podcast from down under.
Yeah. I think I might have stats for you.
You have an answer?
Go for us.
Johnny Unitas in 1967 and OJ the Juice Simpson.
The Juice?
In 1973.
The curse of the Juice.
Yeah. Yep. So 1967, Unitas and the Baltimore Colts came second in the NFL Coastal Western Conference.
We're going back to Coastal Conference here in the NFL. This is going back a bit, boys.
That's it. They obviously didn't make the playoffs there, and then
the Juice in 73 for Buffalo. I think outside of the Juice, Buffalo stunk, so he got like 40 touches a game.
Was he at Buffalo that year?
Great question. Should probably confirm that. Yes, he was.
There you go.
Buffalo.
The curse of the Jews.
Anyway, let's finish up on cricket, domestic cricket, before we actually talk about NFL. What's happening on the Shield games? I think there's been 3.
Yeah, we've got all 3 states going at it at the moment. South Australia, West Australia, out there in the west. South Australia had a pretty dismal first innings with Joy Richardson and Lance Morris getting 3 each. WA made 299 in response. Hilton Cartwright and Cam Green amongst the runs. And then South Australia actually coming out with a very strong second innings with Henry Hunt unbeaten he made 100-odd. Muggs, can you just pull up that one if you wouldn't mind? Because that would have finished later this evening than the other 2 games. Victoria and New South Wales. Victoria dismissed for 199. Nick Maddinson made half their runs. The big one out of this one was Sean Abbott. He took 6 for 38, I should say. And New South Wales only managed 151 with Scott Boland doing the most of the damage there. A little concerning, I suppose, with those 2 big states going at it and not many runs made. But a lot of runs in the Queensland-Tasmania game. Queensland made 487, and we had 3 tons from 3... I'd say I can't paint them all with the same brush, can I? 1 test lock.
Yeah, one's definite in the other.
In Labuschagne.
The other team been in the wilderness a little bit of late.
Test wilderness player in Matt Renshaw had 120 unbeaten.
I think Aussie's in there.
Aussie Khawaja, 119. So he has back-to-back hundreds. He's knocking down the door, especially if Pukowski's not ready to go.
But he's been in the wilderness for a fair bit as well. So.
And there's a lot to do with there might be some kind of personality thing. There may be some kind of clashing of heads between Uzi and the higher-ups at Cricket Australia.
Ooh, I think there's some politics involved.
On form, he would be really putting his hand up, I should say. If he goes out in this next Queensland game and makes a ton, and he's got 3 tons in a row, the selectors can't leave him out of the squad, you wouldn't think.
Well, that was going to be my question to you. Of what you've seen so far on the Shield, who's coming in? Who's in your 11? Well, I don't want your whole 11. Who do you think's coming into the 11? Who do you think's going out?
I think there's only a few spots up for grabs in the Australian team. So from the Shield so far, Usman Khawaja has been unbelievable. I think Cam Green is in this side. He made.
I think you're thinking more long term with Cam Green. He's still making runs.
I think at the Gabba he'll be in this side.
No, I'm saying like you want him in your side because you're thinking about long term.
Yes.
Even though he's maybe not scoring all the hundreds like the others are, he's still scoring good runs.
61.
Yeah, still making good runs, but he's also young, and you want him there for the next decade. So
for sure,
you're building around him.
There's a lot of talk about Marcus Harris perhaps getting this opening gig. He hasn't made a ton of runs just yet.
Didn't he make 100?
Not in this one. Has he this season?
Thought I saw something say that Marcus Harris had made 100 recently.
I can bring that up. For mine, Khawaja and Sean Marsh is still
always floating around,
plodding along very, very well.
He hates the Shield game.
Harris did make 100. My apologies. So in the second innings this one.
Another one making 100. So
they're all putting their fucking hand up, aren't they?
Yes, which is good. I think
that's what you want. That's what you want. We spoke about Travis Head going ballistic last week.
Yep. Again, another young guy you probably want to get around. A guy that isn't so young, that's been in and out. Maybe Matthew Wade, who's not currently playing long form cricket. He's in the T20 at the moment. Will be a bit of a rough out there.
Well, what are they going to do? Because Wade was played in our last Test match. Payne is obviously going to be
the keeper
and
captain,
batting 7.
Maybe his last series, but hopefully not.
So does Wade get a shout, or is that? To be honest, there's a lot of hate around Matthew Wade as a white ball player. I quite like him. I just do think in Test cricket, I feel like our top 6 probably doesn't warrant his inclusion.
Where's he bat? 6?
5? It'd have to be 6.
It'd have to be 6. Yeah, it's
right. Or 5. You could have Cam Green at 6, perhaps.
Yeah.
I don't know about Matthew Wade for the Ashes this year. Yeah. Apparently, a really good, a very popular guy amongst the boys.
I bet he's an elite teammate.
They all get around him. But hard to tell with no Shield.
Yeah. Especially when you've got
him.
Harris, Renshaw, Khawaja, Like
I don't think Renshaw will be in the conversation despite making these runs here. But definitely Kawaja, definitely Harris, and perhaps Sean Marsh putting up their hand for that top order spot.
I think if you're a cricket star, you probably want Harris to do well as a potential opener with Warner. If Will is unable to go in the Ashes, of course you got Smith and Labuschagne would be your 3 and 4. So then your 5 is your, if we say Cam Green's your 6, 5.
Head, I think.
Yeah, do you keep is it going to be Head there, or is one of these guys that we're just talking about going to push him ways in like Usman?
But do you bat Usman at 5? Like that's not where he's used to batting. I suppose you just pick your best 5 or 6 sticks.
Yeah.
Regardless, but for mine, there's probably only I think Cam Green plays, like I said, at the Gabba, the first game of the Ashes. I think there's 2 spots up for grabs. I think one of them, Travis Head, has his eyes on that 5th spot, and I think that other opening spot will be a dogfight between Harris, Kawaja, and an outside chance of Sean Marsh.
Yeah. I think they want Will. If Will is healthy and he can get some runs, maybe not even if he can.
The Ashes is in 6 weeks.
I think
I want
So what did we say? I think it was
him all the best.
Was it last week? We said he wanted to come back within a month, so he's maybe 3 weeks away. So he might get a Shield game or 2 in before the Ashes kicks off. Needs a good score, I'd say, by all accounts. In that,
fire,
I love Will Pucovski. It's a tragic story, given the amount of talent, but he's still young. He's 23.
Yep.
There's no need to rush him into an Ashes side with no cricket behind him.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? Obviously,
the last thing you want to do is do that and then him have another injury or something.
Exactly, and
you don't want him out for another season.
Well, the things that he's struggled with in concussion and mental health, they're not things that you want to take lightly either.
No, and not
it's not coming back from a knee or something that's where there's a rehab protocol, and it's one of those funny things.
And especially going into a grueling Ashes series, which is in Australia with bouncy pitches, with the English that of course are going to want to get after our batsmen. Like, if you want to take big risks for the head knocks, that's probably the worst situation you can put yourself into. But
and there has been question marks around his technique. Does he need to work on ducking and getting under these balls? Why is he getting struck so often? Obviously wishing him all the best going forward. Want to see him play a lot of Test cricket. I just don't know if rushing him into this side with no cricket under his belt is the best thing for him or for Australia.
I know, I'm not going to put that mockery on us. I was going to say he could potentially be the saviour that comes in the 3rd test. And it's like, if that's the case, we've lost the first 2, and I don't want that to happen. So let's disregard that comment I was thinking.
We are living in some kind of hell, some kind of dystopian future where we're down 2-0, and Will Pucovski's got to come and save us. COVID fucking 3 is around. Trump's back. It's all happening. He's won the Nobel Prize.
Let's finish the Ashes chat up. Ben Stokes was the other news. I think it basically came from a tweet that just said along the lines of, I'm coming.
Yep.
So, hey, he's in the squad. That's a huge in for them.
Massive
for them. So,
every Australian fan has PTSD from Headingley in 2019.
Second best English cricketer?
But at the moment behind Joe Root, and before his time off, arguably the best cricketer in England. Definitely one of the classiest all-rounders in world cricket. Coming off a finger and a little mental health break, massive boost for the English. Does it change the scope of the series? No, I don't think.
I think it makes it more competitive. Let's go with that. It's going to be more competitive.
Well, it doesn't hurt their chances, does it?
No, not at all.
Does it swing it from us being red hot favourites to swing it into England's favour on the back of Ben Stokes? No, I don't think so. And there's the old adage: you want to beat the best team, yada yada. I don't think...
Fuck England.
Yeah.
We've talked about this. We just want to bury them.
We do. We're horny for the Ashes and very horny for an Australia win for zip with Sydney rained out.
Anyway, what's the score on that game? That's the finishes out.
Slow start. So the West Indies are 1 for 12 after 3 overs. And Everybody knows their champion side from 5 years ago. Looking very ordinary here.
From the brief kind of things I've seen here, Chris Gale maybe refusing to run a little bit, sending his partner back to the other end. If it's for stuff that probably will be fair singles, Chris Gale's maybe not so much.
I don't run singles, baby.
I thought he wanted to get on strike though.
Oh, you never know.
Yeah.
Chris Gale currently 4 from 9 deliveries. Doesn't quite look like a Tom Brady mid-40s athlete, does he? The former Universe boss.
Was that Lewis who was the first one out?
Yeah, Lewis, who
just skied it.
That's a massive blow for them because his form has been unreal. The West Indies are not the team that we had expected coming into this tournament, are they?
Not currently. They've got a lot of work to do.
Well, jeez, it might be done. It might be stick a fork in them time.
Yeah. Okay, cricket done.
Cricket to the NFL.
Yes, NFL hour. We've got to kick it off. I think we're we're going to kick off with Washington. We're going to talk about the cultural. The review of it was a cultural review, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. Is that what they called it? The review of the culture of the Washington football team. Yep. Of course, it was the first in-person league meeting of all the owners this week. So all the big wigs got together. So Roger Goodell was very much asked why they're not releasing it. So they came out during the week. They're not going to release any further detail. I think Congress has got involved and said, we want you to release this. The lawyers are representing a lot of the staff and employees are involved in this review, also saying this is not what we signed up to and what was agreed. There was going to be more stuff released. Mark Davis, of course, forced into firing his head coach at the meeting, very much said, they should release it. They should make it fair. I think that's his big FU back to the league. Hey, you forced me in a position. Yeah. Everyone else is kind of going to have to deal with this situation as well.
What's in the review that?
Well, that's
Goodell wants to hide, and
why aren't they being released? In this age where everything should be known to the public, and there doesn't seem to be any way to sweep any dodgy stuff under the proverbial couch.
I think that's the concern for both Congress and, of course, Goodell, that Gruden was the tip of the iceberg.
Uh-huh.
If you know anything about icebergs, that motherfucker's big under the water.
Yeah, I've seen that picture. Where there's a little knob of the iceberg sticking out there looking for Titanics, and then there's about 90% of it just sitting.
What's that, like Year 7 science?
Yeah, exactly.
Something like that. And I've seen it around as like a motivational kind of thing,
True.
Yeah.
So Goodell was very much asked whether he thought Snyder had been reprimanded enough for his involvement in this, and he said, yes, I think so. But
he had to rename his football team, of course.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Rename his football team.
Which he did say 2 years ago he'd do over his dead body.
Yes.
And he ain't dead.
No. So I think a lot changing there. Of course, Goodell's the messenger boy here. You know who pays his checks. And we know the difference between millionaires and billionaires, as we alluded to in this week. There's different levels of protection there.
That's right.
So
Jeffrey Epstein says hello.
Yes.
Epstein went down. Clinton's still running around, isn't he?
Yeah, very much so.
I thought she was 18, Hillary. Come on now, Hillary. It's just my friend Jeff, just flying out. And
No, we weren't going political.
just going down to Fuck Island, Hillary.
But I think you've got it there. What's the cover-up? Why are they burying
That's
this?
what it seems like. Gruden has been sacrificed to the gods.
We alluded to it last week, and it's coming to pass. It was like, it looks like there's something big brewing there. It wouldn't surprise me if behind doors they're already talking about selling that team. That's why Snyder last year was buying back the stakes in the team when this first stuff was kicking off before they then kicked off the review. The NFL wanted their review done. It wouldn't surprise me if they're trying to do Snyder a solid here, burying this so he can sell his team in a year's time and then disappear, never be heard from again. But I think everyone's just like, he's a fuckwit. Make everyone know that he's a fuckwit.
That's what it seems like. The public perception of him is not of a high standard of morale.
Well, some of the things that have been leaked is like you're forced to wear high heels at work. You couldn't look him in the eyes. You had to refer to him as Mr. Snyder, and like that's the PG shit or the G shit. Like what's the stuff where they've actually gone a bit far?
What's in those fucking emails? I'm interested, boys.
650,000 emails.
I am interested in these emails.
Yeah, you've changed your tune. You know, any emails you're in with Hillary Clinton's. You've just mentioned it, but you're now more interested
because
in
he's the Clinton. He's the Clinton. Epstein and Gruden. They're on the same level. I'm not. I didn't really care that much. I didn't really care. I want to know what's going on at the top level. The top level boys.
Billionaires, they play different. Let's put it that way.
They don't go down easy, do they?
No, not at all.
They look like one of those 16-year-old Tongan kids playing
under eights.
Under eights. They just don't go down easy. It's a different set of rules.
Very much so.
Yeah. All we can hope for is a positive impact from this story somehow. We like to see the change in the culture and the sport. So
a lot of sports, especially male sports, and big time ownership of sports, very much boys' club. So
old school, old world.
Definitely old school, and you know, you've only just seen this year the first. There's a couple now women in coaching, as the universal boss gone. Women in coaching coming through, like it's. You know, there's only that change is only starting to kick off now. Like we said before, we're 102 years deep into the league, so there's big change from the boys' club to, what is it, 2021? So, any other news stories or comments?
Did you guys see that Marine? We had to look it up.
Thought it was a sports story.
Yeah, it's just got into an Epstein kind of rant, hasn't it? So, some Marine, ex-Marine, I should say, was this in Arizona? I think
that was
some armed robber went into the Quickie Mart or some kind of iteration of that.
The convenience store, yes.
And sometimes it's hard to split my mind between Simpsons and reality.
No, it's fine.
Back to Donald Trump. And this guy had a pistol in his hand, and this fella's there, bearded bloke, just pretty much snatched it out of his hand. Absolute hero. They interviewed him on the news.
It was a long interview, like
long
4
interview,
minutes,
4.5 minutes. Yeah. Probably about the length of this podcast. What we should really be talking for.
If you cut out all the dribble and focus on the sport, yes, it'd be about 4 minutes.
4.5 minutes. Yeah, yes. Of mispronounced names and dribble. But yeah, essentially they interviewed him, and he signed off with and just remember, Epstein didn't kill himself, and the anchors just looked at each other bewildered.
Yeah, there's
check that one out.
Yeah.
We couldn't find that on Google, did we? We had to go via DuckDuckGo. So Google perhaps covering up as well.
Yes,
for the Clintons and Schneider, Dan Schneider. One and the same. Boys, let's stop dribbling. Let's talk about
NFL hour.
Some NFL.
And we better cover Thursday night football.
Let's go!
It is Friday for us, so Thursday night football has happened. We did have the Cardinals taking on the Packers today. The Packers win and...
Hand on your heart, your tips?
Pick cards, of course.
Cards.
I think I said that maybe not last week. But anyway, cards.
Mine was the Packers.
Yeah, of course, yours was the Packers. Of course.
Despite Devontae Adams being on the COVID list, Alan Lazard also on the COVID list, Marquez Valdez-Scantling still injured, so they were without their best three receivers. However, JJ Watt, sad news
huge out
surrounding him. He played out last week despite suffering a torn labrum, a torn bicep, and a torn rotator cuff, as well as a dislocated shoulder.
That's all kinds of fucked up. Like that
requires surgery and most likely season ending. Quite a sad result for one of the genuine good guys in the NFL and an absolute beast of a player, let's be honest. And it showed. It showed
made
today.
A huge difference in
their
game.
Defense didn't look the same without JJ Watt. The Pack were able to run the ball.
I think they averaged over 5 yards a carry.
Yeah, and AJ Dillon, he's coming along. The old Quadzilla.
Yeah, well, I think they realised it was like, hey, we can just pound him straight down the middle. They don't have the size anymore to prevent that. So
Randall Cobb's our most noted receiver out there, playing with a bunch of kids, really out wide, but it didn't matter too much. Aaron Rodgers just controlling the game. The last few minutes, however, was absolutely absurd.
The Cards, I think, stunk through the first 3 quarters of this game as well.
Yes,
I think and we've got to talk about D-Hop as well, struggling with his hamstring, how important he is to that offense. Because every time, because they were babying him essentially, but every time he got on that field, they moved the football. So you can see the difference he made to the Packers' defensive schemes when he's on the field.
Even with the bum hamstring.
Even with the bum hamstring. So
Hopkins led receiving. He only caught 2 balls, but it was 66 yards.
So he had that one long one, which was essentially, or it was a touchdown, but it got called back for an offensive face mask, something you don't see all the time. For me, as a one-eyed cheesehead, it did look like he did.
Oh, he grabbed the face mask. He grabbed it. But
possibly unlucky for it to go back.
Yeah, I think in the context, it wasn't like he gained that much of advantage. The dude was behind him, and he'd already stiff-armed him, and then he just got his hand in the face.
Rules is rules.
I know it's rules, but I think it's a different situation if the guy's in front of him, he grabs the face mask.
You're just dirty because you missed out on about 9 fantasy.
Oh, big time. Big time. Considering
we're playing each other this week as well.
Yeah. Considering he played like 12.
More salt into the wound.
Yeah. He played 12 snaps, I think, in this whole game as well. Like he barely played more than a quarter of the snaps for the Cards. But when he did get on the field, you could see the difference in where the offense had played. And I think Murray kind of really struggled. They struggled to run the ball, couldn't really set themselves without that kind of game plan. And, they really struggled through the first 3 quarters. But then managed to put it together in the fourth quarter.
And of course, in the last 2 minutes.
Yeah, well, in the last 2 minutes as well. Yeah, getting those couple of those rushing touchdowns to put them within shooting distance. Got it down to the 3-yard line, I believe.
Close,
with
I
about
think 10, it was even less than that.
Yeah, 10 seconds to go.
They got to the no. So let's go back to the Green Bay drive.
Yeah, go back.
So Green Bay were driving. The score was 24-21. Yep. A touchdown essentially ends the game. Aaron Jones, it's called a touchdown on the field. It goes back.
Bum down. Yep.
Bum down, and then they had 3 chances to bump it in from the one. They missed on second down, missed on third down, and then a big 4th down decision not to kick the field goal and to go for it. And Aaron Rodgers rolled out right, and the pass got battered down.
Was it 3 passes or was it run, pass?
It was run. I feel like it was 3 runs and then a pass on 4th down.
Okay. I thought they'd pass more than that because I was thinking from inches they would have get the quads out there and punch it in.
Quadzilla.
But yeah,
Aaron Rodgers just a little. He doesn't really like his quarterback sneak. Anyways, they couldn't do it. Big goal line stand, which gave the Arizona Cardinals the ball on their own 1-yard line.
Yep.
And you thought 2 minutes to go down the whole field. Surely not. Next minute, Kyler starts playing like the Kyler that we've seen all season.
Yeah, MVP Kyler.
Yeah, and starts hitting up AJ Green. They start moving the ball. Chase Edmonds had a massive run after catch. They were marching. They got it within Green Bay's 10. Essentially, overtime had been confirmed. It would have been a chip shot field goal to take it through to overtime.
Yep.
And then a really weird play. The Cardinals called timeout. You think they would have had this play sorted.
Yep.
Kyler looks for AJ Green.
His controller disconnects.
And I saw that, man. The controller disconnect. AJ Green looks like he thinks it's a run play. It's look like
he's in the end zone blocking.
It looks like he's trying to block.
And he's looking left, like up at the big screen. And I think he sees the ball coming his way on the big screen, and then he looks over like, oh fuck, the ball's coming to my right shoulder. But the corner's all over. I think Douglas.
Russell Douglas.
All over it.
Name
Good
there.
heads up there.
Yeah, heads on the swivel, puts the hand out, gets one touch, bubbles it, catches it in. End of the game.
Out there, he fights Batman, Ra's al Ghul. There's something there. Batman Begins, good movie.
Yes.
And that was his first intercept as a Packer. He's been a bit of a journeyman.
Considering
beforehand,
banged up in the secondary as well.
Which we mentioned before. I said, why the fuck is Eric Stokes going to DeAndre Hopkins? Joey Alexander on IR. Kevin King
injured.
Couldn't make the game.
So
a real shame as a Packers fan. Young Eric Stokes gets to be the number 1 corner, which makes Russell Douglas the number 2 corner, and he comes up with the biggest play of his life. Green Bay come away with the win. Cardinals limp away. Kyler was limping. We spoke about Nuke's hammy. We'll keep an eye on them. Cardinals fans would be interested. You'd be interested being a fantasy owner of both those players.
Yeah.
Boys
do have 10 days to the next game, of
Big
course.
turnaround. So wishing
that
them.
hopefully will help them out and they can get some rest. But
Yeah, no one wants to see Kyler or Nuke out of the immediate future in the NFL. This was interesting in our group chat. We're kind of thinking, Packers win, is it that important? Yes, I think it is, because shout out to Michael Steamson, a friend of ours, contributor to the Esky. He pointed out that there is only the number one seed to get the week off.
Yep.
And were it to go down to a tiebreaker between these two teams, it will be the Green Bay Packers that go through. Of course, your Tampa Bay Buccaneers will have something to say about it. Perhaps the Los Angeles Rams, perhaps the Dallas Cowboys will have something to say about it. But yeah, it wasn't. This game kind of had a playoff game feel about it.
I think the Pack can't be disappointed they went into the Cards' house and got the win.
Come away with a win with no receivers.
Yeah, and I think the Cards can also not be disappointed that they played pretty terrible for the first three quarters, got hot and, went into the half, 10-7, I think it was. Was it?
Yeah,
10-7.
Yeah, so, and then, only lost by 3 points in this after defensively being pretty bad and then offensively struggling. That hey, we still hang with the Packers. They're 6-7-1 now. We're both 7-1.
Both 7-1.
See, come playoff time. So from that perspective, I don't think they'd be concerned come playoff time. But the one thing that they may miss out on is the number one seed. But there's another 10 weeks of 9 weeks of football to go.
Yeah.
Oh no, it is 10 weeks because it's 18-week season. 10 weeks to go from here to then.
It's nuts, man. Who's the best team in football? Like we talk about who's the playoff team each week, but there's no clear-cut best team in football. These were two, definitely NFC.
Well, you named four before, and they could be considered.
And then that's only in the NFC,
exactly.
And then you've got to kind of try to weigh up where the Buffalo Bills and the Baltimore Ravens and
Bengals,
the Cincinnati Bengals, the Tennessee Titans.
Yep.
Look, the Chiefs are 3-4, but Mahomes and Andy Reid in the postseason, who knows? There's no clear-cut number one team in football.
Yep.
It's a good league, isn't it? It's very fun. Every game counts.
At the Blumhole League. Okay, so we got to talk Sunday games. Let's kick it off. And we just mentioned them, the Bengals. We did kind of highlight it last week. Are they potentially moving themselves into a playoff team? They didn't take the Esky curse like the Chargers did. They came out and annihilated the Ravens.
Yeah, this was weird. Like they looked so good against a team that before this game was the number one seed in the AFC. Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase are an absolute thing. Burrow threw for over 400 yards in this one. Jamar Chase, 8 catches, 201 yards, and a touchdown.
And I think my comment last week was I didn't think the Bengals defense was good enough at this point. They were maybe another year away of guys they need to tool up to get to that point. But hey, their defense come out and were electric in this, and
they couldn't run the ball on them. Lamar could.
None of the Pro Bowlers they had over there could run on them. So
that's right. Their running backs ran for a combined 29 yards. Lamar could scramble a little bit, as he does, an elite player. But the Bengals really thumped them in their own house.
Yeah.
None of us picked that.
No, not at all. And, divisional rival here in the North, they're trying to very much push their ascendancy. And like I said, I think they may be a year away, but maybe I can very much be wrong. Maybe they are starting to push their case that, hey, we're here. And maybe this is where we thought Burrow could have been at the end of last season, if not hurt. He's now coming into his, filling in his shoes, kind of like Justin Herbert and these guys did, where they played a full season. He's now come into, he would have now played a full season, I believe. He would have played at least 16 games now.
Yep.
So he's got that under his belt. So you're now seeing him take that next step in his game, and he's just looks elite. And, Jamar Chase there as well. Really just nasty.
It's going to be pretty hard for anyone to win Offensive Rookie of the Year that's not named Jamar Chase.
How mean was the LSU offense that they had Chase, Jefferson, CEH, and Burrow all there? I think they had Terrence Marshall, who's going all right for Panthers.
And Joe Mixon was there the year before.
Oh yeah,
nuts.
That's just nuts.
A team that's probably not travelling as well. No. The New York Jets. It is in their house. That's about where the good news ends for them. Zach Wilson, PCL. Have you got an injury update on him, Monks?
It looks like he'll miss 2 to 4 weeks.
2 to 4 weeks.
Let's say a
Yep.
month. I'd give him a month.
You
don't need to- you don't need to rush him back either.
Yeah.
The start of his career.
Yeah.
Don't need to rush him back. They did, however, trade for Joe Flacco. Picked him up from the Eagles.
Comes back to the Jets, I believe. I
Yeah,
think
so
he was
knows
there
the
last-
system, knows a lot of those players. Him and Jamison Crowder, played a bit together.
So my understanding, he's not going to start this week. Mike White is, but my understanding after actually Monk's maybe been able to find this out, but there had to be some 10-day thing or something like that, and Flacco hadn't got on the plane quite yet to get into New York to sort it out or whatever it was.
Is that a COVID thing?
I couldn't remember. I couldn't remember the exact specifics, but that was the reasoning why he couldn't start this week.
Right.
So he'll probably start next week, and that's why we got Mike White coming in this one. And he's probably going to get absolutely fucked by the Bengals. This could be very, very one-sided.
Yeah, this
early
could be
here.
nasty.
I think it's probably going to be 3 Bengals.
It is
all on the table.
I've mentioned it before. I'm in a Survivor Pick'em league. This is my pick for the week. The Bengals away, and I think there was like 48% of the league had gone with the Bengals to win this game. 3 Bengals here, Monks. If you wouldn't mind bringing up some odds for this one. The Jets, man, they got dismantled last week by the Patriots. I think the Pats put up 54 on them. They ran all over them. They've
got. I can't remember. They got a rookie quarterback, Mac Jones.
Yeah.
over there, so
nuts.
he's looking very, very good. If there wasn't,
Boy,
if
a guy,
Chase,
if there wasn't a guy called Jamar Chase out there, offensive rookie of the year might be going to Mac Jones.
Yes.
What are the odds here, Monks? Maybe the line and total match points might be more interesting.
Yep. Yeah, so pretty one-sided matchup. Bengals are favourites $1.17. We have the Jets out at $5.10 at the moment. Nothing too surprising there. We've got a line of 10.5 and total match points of 42.5.
I don't like the Jets to score enough points for those overs, although that
what did Bengals score last
that
week?
is very
41?
well. They scored 41, so you need the Jets to score 1.5.
It's potentially doable. They like I said,
That is quite. That
they
is
could
qu-
put them to the
that
sword.
total match points is quite low. The Bengals at $1.70. They don't lose this game, but I think that's safe.
Not at all.
Big matchup in the AFC South. The Tennessee Titans take on the Indianapolis Colts. We're starting to find a bit of form. The Titans, however, dismantled the Kansas City Chiefs. 27-3 winners over them. Can you boys remember the last time Kansas City scored 3 points? It'd be a long time, I'd imagine. Derrick Henry. There's a few memes getting around that only quarterbacks win MVP.
Well, we talked about it last week. So.
And he said, all right, well, I'm going to throw a touchdown. He threw for their first touchdown. They actually contained him not too bad. I think he had 29 carries, as he does, 86 yards, no touchdowns. That's probably a win for the Chiefs.
So he does, with that, he probably has got the best passer rating in the league currently.
Yeah, well,
but I think I think they
one
track
pass,
it.
one attempt, one touchdown. Not too bad.
But I think they usually track it on a minimum 100 attempts or some shit like that to even count. But hey,
Off that game, it was 127.1.
So he's not even perfect. So he needed more yards, I think.
Probably needed more yards, yeah.
There you go. We all went the Chiefs in that game.
I think we're all thinking they need to start winning this game somewhere.
Yeah, we'll get to them in the second. Maybe Tennessee's just legit. They dropped a game to the Jets earlier on in the year.
I think they're much better when they've got AJ Brown and Julio Jones in the sides. That probably adds.
Speaking of AJ, my boy, I took him in the second round of our NFL draft. He had 8 catches, 133 yards, and a touchdown in this one. Mm-hmm. He is an elite wide receiver. It's good to see him healthy, and I'm sure Ryan Tannehill and the rest of their offense are happy to see AJ Brown having his biggest performance of the year so far. The Colts were winners Sunday Night Football at San Francisco.
Yep.
They're getting there.
I think they're getting better week in, week out.
Yeah.
So,
Obviously, we had Wentz being banged up coming into the year. Quentin Nelson was back for this one. So one of the best guards
their defense
in
really
the NFL.
hadn't been playing overly too well to start the year, but it seems to be all clicking. Like I think Leonard took a pick, didn't he, in this as well?
He's a turnover freak.
Yeah.
He's such a good inside linebacker. Yeah. He is the definition of sideline to sideline.
They have talent on that team. So
gets turnovers.
I could see them surprising the Titans in this game. Like they are they're trending in the right direction. I think I picked the Titans. I'll double check. I'm pretty sure I've gone the Titans because I think they're probably still ahead.
Yeah,
but I really like where the Colts are going. I think they're one of the better 3 and 4 teams.
I have gone the Titans here too. The thing that is a really good thing for the Indianapolis Colts is that they get to play the Houston Texans and Jacksonville Jaguars 4 games against those teams. So definitely wouldn't be surprised if they sneak in for a playoff spot. I just really like where the Titans are going. Knocking off the Kansas City Chiefs and Buffalo Bills in back-to-back games is pretty impressive. Hard to go past them here.
Yeah. And, Monks, tips and odds?
Just having a look at Darius Leonard.
Yeah. So he didn't get a interception on the last week's game.
I think maybe he
does have
tipped
2
it up
on the season.
I think he was involved in an interception. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
2 on the. He's a turnover freak.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I've tipped the Titans as well. They're actually going into this matchup underdogs.
How? Is it? What do they know that we don't know?
Well, we just talked about it. Maybe they're starting to see what the Colts are putting together, and they are improving. They're not the 3 and 4 team that people think they are. They're at home too, so
We're talking about a team that's just beaten the AFC conference game. Like they've just beaten the Chiefs and Bills. They just beat the 2 best teams in the AFC.
But
I don't.
But 2021 Chiefs aren't the future past ones. So.
They're still a great team. They're still
Yeah.
Paddy Mahomes, Andy Reid led team.
So what's the difference, Monks? When you say they're underdogs, how far underdogs are they? Are we talking cents here?
Yeah. No.
Reasonable.
We are talking cents here.
So Titans are $2.20, Colts are $1.67.
That's more than I thought it'd be.
Yeah.
Even unofficial sports bet has their tips as Tennessee Titans have won last 8 of their 9 matches and have covered the line.
I think it's an official sports bet, but unofficial sponsor. But keep going.
Sure, whatever.
Nah, fuck them. We've been shouting them out for a year.
We call them unofficial sports bets.
They are.
Mumbo jumbo.
Yeah,
I'm with you.
Yeah. So, even based on their own tips, they reckon Tennessee's the favourite. So, I don't know how they've come up with those odds.
No.
We do have a line of 2.5 and total match points of 51.
Can I get a Derrick Henry anytime touchdown score? He actually didn't score technically against the Chiefs. He only throws for touchdowns now because he wants to be the MVP. They should, if you just go up here.
Realistically, if you're the Tennessee side,
touchdown.
Actually, realistically is the wrong word. If you're the next offensive genius for the Tennessee Titans, wouldn't you put Tannehill on the bench and you just have Derrick Henry as your quarterback and have an extra blocker in there and just see how you go?
Like a wildcat.
Just constantly. He can throw occasionally and then he can have 50 touches in a game. But you got an extra blocker out there.
I don't mind it. People were saying you can't keep up this workload. It's too much, and we're pushing halfway through the season, and no one is slowing down the king.
They forget that he's 6'4", 260 pounds, whatever it is.
Something like that. Yeah, 250.
Like, he can take the wear and tear. He's not like Aaron Jones we're talking about before, where he's a bit of a slender builder. Like that wear and tear will wear on you. Where Derrick Henry's just
talking about my boy Aaron Jones like that. He's all right. He's
Yeah,
only
that was
5'9".
Hey, well, they shared that workload very much today.
You seen his leg drive as well for a little bloke? Mm.
You seen Dylan's leg drive?
Yeah, well, that makes sense because his legs are like my torso.
Anyway, let's move on to the next game. We've got Rams taking on Texans. We probably don't need to talk about this because I think the Texans are finally mailing the season in. I think actually, Monks, can you find out if Tyron Taylor is actually back for them?
That would be useful. Davis Mills had that one game where he looked okay, and then everything else has just been dreadful.
Yeah, well, they've traded away Mark Ingram. He's gone back to the Saints, so he's gone back there to join the band with Kamara. There's talk that Cooks could be on the move as well. Fire sale, essentially, is what we're in. Deshaun Watson, of course, still in the chat there. They could load up on picks for the coming next draft or the drafts coming up to try and rebuild that team with the new GM over there. But yeah, I think we can all safely say this is going to get very, very ugly.
Do you think the Rams cover 9 points here? 9.5?
Yes.
Because I thought so last week against the fucking Lions. And what did they do? They won by 9. 9. I lost my multi by half a point. Thank you very much.
I think you forgot that that was a revenge grudge match. Like it was always going to be a close football match.
Well, was it though?
It was. We had Goff taking on Stafford. Sorry, switching clubs there. So yeah, it was always going to be a revenge game.
What I failed to realise is I put money on it. So normally that money does not come back. Speaking of Matt Stafford, he's looked unbelievable, and Cooper Kupp is the best receiver in the NFL at the moment of his numbers. He had
Bobby Trees was a 1 week wonder at this point.
One week wonder, yeah. Cooper Kupp clearly the number one there.
Big time favourite.
10 catches, 156 yards, 2 touchdowns. No one really saw this rapid ascendancy of Cooper Kupp. Everyone sort of had him as a good receiver last year, but getting Matthew Stafford in there has definitely done his game wonders.
Yeah, I think for all the fantasy pundits out there, especially coming in this season, you knew Goff liked to spread it between the two of them, so you had a good option, but you weren't sure with
which way
Stafford
go.
coming in. Like, would he play favourites? And would you think Bobby Trees, I think, was slight favourite over Kupp for Goff, but it's heavily swung in the other direction, and yeah, you feel sorry for anyone that picked up Robert Woods early in their NFL fantasy draft.
Big time.
3 Rams.
3 Rams.
Big time odds, I think, in Rams.
What is the line? That is probably the only thing I'd be interested in. I took the Texans a few weeks ago with 17. That didn't do me any wonders. They lost last week to the Cards 31-5, so that's 26 points. They are at home at least for this game. But yeah, this is one of those ones where you just kind of hope that it doesn't get too ugly too quick.
That's it, yeah. So Tyrod Taylor is back practicing, still on IR, so I think it's probably going to be a game day sort of decision for them.
Okay.
Yep. So Rams are at $1.08. The Texans are at $8. We have a line of 14.5 and total match points of 48.
Even though the Rams fucked me last week, I would still take that line.
Yeah.
Next match coming up is Steelers taking on the Browns, the battle of the the beaten up quarterbacks. Shouldn't be backups. Case Keenum, of course, led banged up Browns against the banged up Broncos in a 17-13 absolute thriller. No, it was a piece of shit game.
It was close.
Yeah, it was close. How is Mayfield going, Marks? I think my understanding is he's going to need shoulder surgery, but his shoulder injury can't get worse. So it looks like he's going to play this week. Hunt's on IR.
Chubb's a maybe, isn't he?
He's a solid maybe. He's been training this week, barring like a pre-game warm-up issue with his calf. He should start. But Johnson, of course, was the story of the Thursday Night Football match last week. Yeah, getting all the carries and running all over Denver's defense in that one, and they dominated on the run game very heavily in that. Steelers, on the other hand, coming off a bye,
coming off a bye. So hard to tell. They had that Monday Night Football win 2 weeks ago against Seattle. This is quite similar to last week in that the Browns will still be banged up, but they're taking on a team which has sort of been a little underwhelming, perhaps. I'm going Cleveland here. I think they get the job done, even if it is Case Keenum that starts under centre. Did we get any news on Baker Mayfield? It seems like it's just kind of a day-by-day. Who knows what happens? Yeah,
at this stage, fairly similar to Tyrod Taylor, just day-to-day.
I pick Cleveland as well. You go.
Yep. No other news. It looks like it's probably just pay management at the moment. So I guess, another game day decision for them. That being said, I have also gone Cleveland. They are favourites leading into the match, $1.50. The Steelers are out at $2.61. We have a line of 3.5 and total match points of 42.5. Total match points.
Low.
Yeah,
that's quite low.
Well, I think for the Cleveland-Denver game, I think they had 40 points as the total, and we're like, it's going over. You said, I think it's going over for sure.
And it went well under.
Yeah, it was 30. So this game, knowing the defenses and where the offenses are, I'd say unders on this.
Watch the Browns pound the rock and keep it low scoring.
time of possession, I think, will be key in this one.
Indeed. Moving forward, the Philadelphia Eagles take on the Detroit Lions. The Eagles coming off that loss to the Las Vegas Raiders. Miles Sanders, can you have a little look into how he's travelling? He went down with I believe was an ankle sprain.
Yeah, and then Gainwell and Scott played pretty well.
Gainwell and Scott. I think it seems like Sanders maybe no bueno for this week. In our other league, in my other fantasy league, the one that you boys aren't in, my running backs are David Montgomery,
Bears,
Saquon Barkley, Miles Sanders. So an absolute
shit show.
Yeah, and no fault of my own. They're just the boys. Unfortunately, are all banged up. I do have James Conner in that league.
He's been doing all right. And
falling into the end zone.
And great segue there, because we hadn't talked about the Cards with Zach Ertz, of course, going to the Cards, which has kind of freed up Dallas Goedert as well at the Eagles. So he's looking like he'll get a lot more game time.
He had
and
70 yards last week.
A lot of targets. So I think that hopefully it'll free them both up. And it looks like that's the case. Ertz has been a good addition to the Cards offense. And the inverse, of course, the same for Dallas for the Eagles. Any
news on Miles Sanders there?
Not too much.
Day by day.
Day by day, yeah. This is turning into something like the AFL or something. Yeah. Didn't practice today, so out today.
Has he practiced at all week?
If he didn't practice today.
I assume not.
Probably, yeah. If anything, it would be very limited. So probably not...
Well, you usually know tomorrow if he doesn't get a Friday practice in, then he's no bueno.
Yeah, it looks like that's probably the case. But yeah, we'll have to, I guess, wait and see.
Lions on the other side didn't embarrass themselves too much in that Rams game, especially considering we were worried they would get out of hand. I've completely fucked Swift's name up. DeAndre Swift. 13 for 48 rushing, not huge numbers, but his receiving ability is really what he's added this season. 8 for 96 with 1 touchdown with his numbers in there. Had a very long touchdown, I think, in this one as well.
I think he busted one, yeah.
But yeah, they didn't embarrass themselves. What are your boys' picks and thoughts on this one?
The Lions get off their donut this weekend.
I've done the exact same
thing. You motherfucker.
You can tell we suck each other off for quite often because...
Well, we haven't been able to because of the lockdown. So, quite keen if you're keen enough for the podcast. No, but in all seriousness, the Detroit Lions have not been built. They haven't copped a loss like the Houston Texans have, or even Chicago Bears last week come to mind, where you just think, oh, this team is garbage. Yeah. They haven't won a game. They're not good, but they also haven't been flogged in.
They're not the worst team in the league.
No, I don't think. They're
not known. Like they're not a.
Well, they're the only team that hasn't won. But
they're not a team that's going to go 17 now.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think this is the week where they get off it. The Eagles have struggled to run the ball. If Miles Sanders is no good to go, he hasn't even been getting the ball. But I don't like what they're doing on offense. Their defense isn't bad. I think the Jared Goff-led Detroit Lions get off the donut this week. And
I agree with you. I picked the Lions as well. Miss Muggy?
Jeez, I wish I could make it a curse. I've gone Eagles. No real confidence in that. They are favourites, $1.50. Lions are out at $2.60. We do have a line of 3.5, so going to be a very close game. And total match points of 48.
High. A bit high, I would have thought.
Both those teams like score points, though.
They do.
And leak points. So
Leaky. 49ers and Bears. The 49ers lost at home to the Colts in prime time. Elijah Mitchell's been very good for them. He had 107 rushing yards and a touchdown. Deebo Samuel, his season continues to go in the right direction. 7 catches, 100 yards and a touchdown. Jimmy G threw 2 picks. Do we have any news how Trey Lance is going? He was unavailable last week due to injury. We didn't know if Jimmy G was going to be good to go last week, so it'll be interesting to see what happens there. The Bears, on the other hand, they were pretty bad against the Bucks. Justin Fields threw 3 picks, and I was sending you boys a little article that I'd been reading. Apparently, twice this year he's been advised via his headset that he had a free play, that the opposition had 12 men on the field, and he threw a pick both times, and it seems like it may be more the coaching staff's fault than Fields. What'd you make of that one?
Yeah, well, we're not talking about the Bears as having the most world-class coaching staff. So Nagy, of course, very much heavily on the hot seat and probably may not see out this season, but we'll have to see how that goes, of course. But yeah, it sounds like whoever's doing maybe the QB coach, whoever's the offensive support guy there, doing the counting of men on the field, he's either got an extra finger on his hand because he's definitely been missing a guy. So yeah, I think it's pretty poor of the coaching staff. They can't, get 12
Apparently, it's happened a few times as well. This offensive line just does not want to protect him. He is under duress just about every time he drops back. One good thing that they've been able to do is kind of provide gaps for Khalil Herbert. He had 100 rushing yards in this one and 5 catches for 33 yards. Yep. Been a really good fantasy pickup for anyone. I
think Williams should be back this week off COVID list.
Yes.
And I'm not sure about where
I think Montgomery. It seems like Montgomery's still a while away. This game, boys, I think
Allen Robinson, also another one that potentially could be traded before.
He must have the shits, man, because he is a legitimate talent at wide receiver. It was kind of in the Trubisky days, we're kind of thinking, what can this guy do with someone perhaps a little bit better, throwing him the ball, and obviously their woes on offense this year have been well publicised. Allen Robinson was, I think, predicted as a top 15 wide receiver at the start of the year in terms of ADP in fantasy, and he has not had any production.
Well, he's in a contract year, I believe, so and they're keeping him on the tag, of course.
Tell you what, come across over to the Packers. Wouldn't mind. There's
definitely a few teams that could use
Adams and Robinson on the other
side. Use an elite receiver like Allen, because I think he was hoping maybe Dalton could play most of the year and he could pump his numbers up a little bit for that big contract that he wants. He doesn't want to be catching 2 balls a game from Justin Fields and be losing matches, because that's not helping him. Another one with the trade deadline coming up on the 2nd of November that potentially could be on the move. So there is a few guys out there that could be.
So what did you find what the news is around Trey Lance and Garoppolo?
Yeah, it's a little bit interesting. So it sounds like during the week, after last week's game, Shanahan said that he would have been happy with Lance starting if he was healthy. I think he was out last week, obviously, with the knee, but he might be back in this week.
Yeah, and I don't think he's he didn't practice the start of the week. So he may be getting some limited sessions in, but maybe, again, he's a rookie quarterback. They want to get him a full week leading into an opponent instead of some limited practices.
That's it,
so they'll go with the veteran Jimmy G. But
yeah.
Either way, Jimmy G's on a short leash.
Yeah, it sounds like Shanahan's will be pretty quick to pull the trigger on that one.
That's his quarterback.
As soon as he's happy that he's healthy and ready to go. So, yeah, maybe not this week, but in the weeks to come, looks like Lance will be starting.
Trey area incoming.
So all that said, who are you picking?
These teams are both absolute pretenders, I think. I'm going to go the 49ers here. Chicago, I do not know how they have 3 wins, probably off the back of their defense. Neither of these teams play playoffs this year.
Yeah, 49ers for me.
Yeah, I've gone 49ers. They are favourites, $1.49 at the moment.
$1.49 for the 49ers. There you go.
There you go. I didn't even pick that up.
That's how my brain works.
Let's say I'm the accountant.
Yeah, you can probably put it in rational kind of terms, whereas I'm going omen. Push money here, lose money there.
That's it. It's
100%.
Yeah. Bears are out at $2.64. Can you make anything with that number?
64, 6-4. They're going to play 10 in the box with 1 safety. No, I've got nothing there.
Dragged out longer than I thought we would.
This game is dragging out longer than I thought we would too.
Let's move on. Come on.
Line's 3.5 and total match points is 39.5.
That is so low. So low, 39.5. Wow. And that speaks volumes of where these two teams are at.
Well, the only reason you'd watch this game if it ends up being a Lance versus Fields game, but if not, watch something else.
NFL Red Zone, man, be interested in what happens in terms of fantasy, perhaps, more than anything.
Panthers Falcons.
This one's kind of interesting in the NFC South. The Falcons are going in the right direction. The Panthers are going in the wrong direction. They've lost 4 on the trot, including last week against the New York Giants. I believe we all tipped them to get the job done against the G-Men. Yep. They had less than 200 yards of total offense. They were disgusting. Sam Darnold doesn't look like the same quarterback from the first 3 weeks.
To the point that they're even in the Deshaun Watson conversation. It was like, hey, we need a quarterback.
And interesting, the CMC effect as well. Pretty much their demise. Goes in timing with his injury. The Falcons, I'm finally going to give it up, baby, give it up.
Perhaps who's the best running back on the Falcons?
Cordarrelle Patterson has been the most productive running back on the Falcons. Mike Davis had been very consistent for me in fantasy, double digits every week. He did leave the game early in this one.
He's been consistently poor this season.
He's been consistently average. Consistently not Cordarrelle Patterson. Kyle Pitts, however, he's going in the right direction. He had 7 catches, 163 yards. He looked like a 4th overall draft pick in this one. Boys, what do we think here? I'm going Falcons. I think they're going the right way. The Panthers are going the wrong way.
Yep. Yeah, and back on Pitts, I think he runs almost 30% of his routes out of wide receiver position. So he's not, as we thought, as I keep saying leading into the draft, he's the best wide receiver in this draft. The Falcons are finally starting to use him like one. I was like, fuck it, let's put him out wide and throw him the ball. That's what we need to do. So
it makes sense. He's got the speed. He's
speed, size.
Yeah.
Got wingspan. Like he's made a change like that. That light's kind of whatever they've done in their offense, they've flipped that switch, which I think then is helping out someone like Patterson because if they've got to cover Pitts and Ridley more closely.
And Ridley's been quiet.
Yeah, well, he's getting triple teamed at the moment, so
True.
So which is giving Patterson all that room. I think we talked about this last week. He's giving all that room underneath for those short passes in that run game, and he's been excelling in that. So I don't think the Panthers are the team to figure that out and to come after him in this. So, yeah, I've gone Falcons as well.
Thanks.
Yep. Yeah, I've gone Falcons as well. So probably put the curse on them.
Good, very well.
This is a bit shorter than I had expected, to be honest.
It is. And to that, it's also a pretty good divisional match as well. So Falcons are favourites at $1.58. Panthers are out at $2.39 at the moment. We have a line of 3 and total match points of 46.5.
I don't think I'll be touching any of that, but interested to see what happens. Yeah. Another game I'm interested in considering half my team is Packers in my fantasy team and the other half Buffalo Bills. The Dolphins go up against Buffalo Bills in what you'd imagine will be a pretty one-sided affair. The Finns weren't bad last week. They went very close against the Falcons. 2 or 3, 4 touchdowns. Did have 2 picks. Mike Gesicki is coming along well. The Bills coming off a bye. They should be well rested and seething perhaps to that loss in prime time to the Tennessee Titans. Yep. I imagine this is a very short favoured game in terms of Buffalo. Buffalo for mine.
Yeah, Buffalo as well. And I said it last week. I think Tua's got to push himself to try and make himself the guy because their Dolphins are the big ones talking about the Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
He did come out and get 4 touchdowns and almost 300 yards this. You don't want the turnovers, but he needs another excellent game against the Bills to keep pushing that hey, I'm the guy. You don't need a Deshaun Watson here.
I'm rooting for Tua. I think the Finns are maybe underdo him a little bit if they go hard for Deshaun Watson, especially like we were talking about last week with 3 first-round draft picks is what's seems to be being put on offer. I think that's disrespectful to the player that Tua Tagovailoa could be.
Well, didn't they get all those picks from Houston to then pick Tua and a bunch of other guys, and they're going to blow it up already and flick all those picks back to Houston to then
I don't know why you'd give him up. I don't know. But
the madness of the Finns front office. Anyway.
Indeed. They're loco down there in Miami.
Bills by a lot for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Just back on Watson, I was reading reports. I don't know all the details, but it seems like the Dolphins are all in as long as Watson can sort out his legal issues.
Which is what everyone wants to know.
Yeah, but
and that's not going to happen this season.
by the deadline.
Not by the deadline. No,
Yeah.
that's a long time away.
Yeah. So I've gone Bills as well. They are favourites $1.10. The Dolphins are out at $6.70 at the moment. We've got a line of 14.
14. It's a fair few.
Total match points.
Total match points of 48.5.
I don't mind that. I think the Finns can probably score a couple. The Bills' defense is very, very good. But you'd imagine the Buffalo Bills put on 30 plus here quite easily. Boys, can you lead us into the Sunday late games? I really need to do a wee. My pick in this Patriots-Chargers game is the Chargers coming off a bye. Although the Pats are looking okay. Take it away.
Yeah, I agree. So, Pats, Chargers. Chargers had the bye coming off the loss, I believe, to the Ravens after we put the mocker on them. Probably looking for a revenge game from their side. The Pats, of course, built a divisional rival in the Jets. Harris had 106 yards, 2 touchdowns. Bolden as well, his partner, potentially new James White. He had, I think, 6 receptions for 79 yards and a touchdown. Juno Smith, the shoulder injury, he's been a bit in and out, and Hunter Henry, I think, is also potentially injured at the moment. The story, I think, you talk about Pats is what Mac Jones is doing. He's really stepped into that team and has been really, really good. And like I said, Chargers, they need to bounce back. They were embarrassed last week against the Ravens.
Ravens, yep.
Not last week, the week before against the Ravens. So they need to come and prove themselves. Eckler went on the injury report today, so he might have picked something up at training. For mine, still got to go and face the Chargers in LA. I think Chargers are a better overall football team at the moment. I'm picking Chargers. I think.
I got to.
Yeah, big Chargers here.
Yeah, so I have got Hunter Henry in my lineup this week. So I think he is questionable. So I'll have to see what happens with him. I have also gone Chargers. They are favourites at $1.47. Patriots out at $2.71 at the moment. We have a line of 4 and total match points of 49.5.
49, there you go. Oh, that's a lot in this game. Oh, I guess the Chargers will do it. Thank you, Concept. Yeah.
Interesting. It
But,
does. Yeah.
Could be a good game. I think that'll be a good game of football either way. Young quarterbacks going at it. Yeah. Next match, Jags coming off the bye, taking on the Seattle Seahawks. Hawks went down to the Saints in surprisingly a defensive battle. I think we thought there'd be more points with the way the defenses had been playing.
Perhaps the weather as well.
True, it was raining.
Very wet.
Yeah. The Hawks, of course, having their worst start since 2011, probably because they don't have a guy named Danger Russ in the backfield.
Yeah, yep.
Pretty low chance of making the playoffs from here. I don't think their team overall is where it needs to be compared to years past.
Yep.
And that, Russell is
The Russ
carrying them.
factor is huge.
Yeah.
But Carroll said he's thankful to have coached Russell Wilson. He didn't think he would still be in the NFL if it wasn't for Russell Wilson. It's pretty complimentary for,
considering
for your head coach to be saying that about you.
Considering, what did they do? Then they trade for Charlie Winehurst, I think it was, and Russ was a 4-round pick. Or maybe it was Matt Flynn. Anyway, they picked some bum quarterback that flamed out, and they're like, and Russ just led up training camp, and they're like, shit, who cares if he's a 4th-round pick? He's the starter, and he's been elite since.
Remember the knock on him? He's too short.
Of course.
They just need to get that out of their heads, don't they?
Yeah.
Kyler comes to mind.
Yeah, well, he's 4'3", and he's potentially going to be the MVP.
Baby Yoda, baby. You see that high snap today? That just would have been straight into the hands of Ben Roethlisberger.
Well, Trevor Lawrence.
Trevor Lawrence. Yeah,
it's at my knees.
Would have hit him in the nuts, but poor baby Yoda, it went a foot over his head. I imagine mate. I don't want to count this as all of us going Seahawks here.
So we're just talking about Danger Russ. It looks like he's going to be ahead of his schedule and possibly play through pain Is that this week though, or do we have another week of Gino?
I don't think it's this week. He had surgery 2.5 weeks ago. Yeah, I think that would be very surprising if he's back.
Hey, Danger Russ has done worse.
Sure, but and it's also why risk like.
I agree. Like he probably maybe even put the season in the books at this point. Like,
And then there's a lot of chat that will he be there next year as well?
yeah, well, will Pete Carroll be there next year? Because Pete Carroll's, he and Wayne Bennett who are back there, the dinosaurs. Like he's pretty old. He's in his 70s.
He still looks pretty good for his age, I must
He
say.
looks better than Wayne does. Either way, like what have I done?
Oh, in Seattle, I think they.
Yeah, but Seattle.
Even if it's Geno Smith, I think they get the job done here. Although I won't be betting on this game. I don't think.
I won't go near this game. Yeah.
No, this is a real danger game. The Jaguars.
Maybe DK on overs, but that's probably about it.
What about him last week? Got the overs on one catch. One catch. That battle was really interesting, actually, between DK and Marshawn Lattimore. After that long catch, didn't really have much of an impact. Big DK there.
Lattimore played a really good game after that.
Do you guys catch what is it called, the Manning cast with Marshawn Lynch on it as well?
So what did he say? He had 3 shots of Henny.
Yeah.
Something
dropped
like
a few
that.
F-bombs.
Yeah, exactly. Came on with the side camera. Was eating
Just
Skittles, of
lounging
course.
there.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
take it easy.
Sounds like he'd be a good guest to have on the Esky. Wouldn't be out of
Oh,
place.
Yeah, not at
Not
all.
at all.
But they did have some elite chat on there as well with Tom Brady and then all
Brady.
Drew Brees coming on as well.
Yeah.
Like whoever at ESPN came up with the idea, how about we put the Manning brothers together and get them to talk about Monday Night Football? That whoever that is, that guy needs a pay raise and maybe even an executive suit because that's elite.
It's the world that we live in now, isn't it? Free to air can be a little bit vanilla. Sometimes you like a little bit of swearing or,
Yeah, exactly.
just, being a bit more down to
I don't
earth,
think
perhaps.
Marshall was meant to be swearing, but they were like.
Didn't he give the double...
But he did,
Yeah, the
but that's
double
because
finger.
that was because Peyton gets stuck in him. He's like, "Fuck you, bro."
Funny, man.
Yeah, I know it is, but it is elite chat.
Moving
Sorry.
forward,
Just
Jag...
watching this West Indies.
Yeah, that sucks getting out like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
that's
sorry.
cricket.
Moving on. Jags. I've gone Seahawks as well. They are favourites $1.51. Jags are $2.58 at the moment. We have a line of 3.5. Total match points of 44.5.
Do you have DK unders overs there?
Might be too early.
Yes.
No, don't
That's
worry.
what
About
we found out before with that anytime touchdown scorer. You kind of need to be looking a little bit closer for the personals.
That's the only thing I think would be worth betting on in this.
Is Tyler Lockett a concern for fantasy owners? He has been very, very quiet since Russ went down. He's normally a bit hot and cold as it is. If you wouldn't mind having a look at his numbers.
I think if you've done your research, last season.
He'd have 35 in 1 week and then he'd have 3 the next week.
Well, I
but
think-
it seems like since...
He got almost half his yards or some shit like that in 2 games.
Yeah.
So he which bumped his numbers up close to DK numbers, but DK overall is consistent. So if you're going to pick one of the two, you pick DK. And Tyler's also very dependent on Danger Russ being involved in that team.
So it seems, fairly similar this year. His first 2 games, he absolutely lit it up.
26 fantasy points, 31.8 in PPR. Since then, has made double digits once. And the last 2 weeks, he has gone for a total of 8 points.
Yep.
So he hasn't catched a touchdown
Catched?
since.
He hasn't
Yeah,
catched?
Caught. But hey, that could be that's
all right.
a Geno
That's right.
factor.
Hey, he's an accountant. He's not meant to be too
That's
good
it.
at English.
I don't-
Maths, on the
No,
other hand.
Yeah. Well, not even maths.
We've proven that point.
I'll tell you what, I can write up an Excel formula though.
Like, pretty good on the old Instagram of the photoshops.
Getting there. So Tyler Lockett hasn't caught
we
a
go.
touchdown since week 2.
There you go. Trouble for Tyler Lockett and his hairline, if anyone's seen that. That is packing up very quickly. That's a long time on that one. That's 3 Seahawks. But don't discount the Jaguars there. Sean, I'm sure you would love to speak about this at length. The Washington football team take on the Denver Broncos. It is at Mile High Stadium. The football team coming off a loss to the Packers. They little bit shortchanged in this one. A few calls didn't go their way. They were actually quite good at stopping Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon.
Well, but the flip side of the second round, Monks, I'm not sure if you can find it quickly. I had heard that Washington potentially has the worst defense currently in the NFL. If not, they're bottom third easily.
I think it depends on which metric. Definitely in most metrics, they're bottom three, and I think in points allowed, I think they are the worst in the league.
What was that? Their front four is elite. Everything behind that, not so much.
It just keeps getting worse and worse at each level. The Packers threw the ball on them at will. I think Rodgers had 4 touchdowns. No, three touchdowns, excuse me. The Broncos, on the other hand, we spoke a little bit before about it against the injury-ravaged Browns. Fangio still has his job. You weren't so convinced that was going to happen.
Yeah. Well, I think all the chat is about they've got to sort out what they're going to do with that stuff, and I'll get to that in a minute. But the Browns run all over Denver. Denver has 8 linebackers, 6 on injury reserve. Actually, they've got 8 injured, 6 on injury reserve of probably the 10 or 11 they carry on the roster.
Yep.
They've traded for 2 linebackers in the last week to try and fill that hole.
And it's inside is the problem.
Inside big time. Miller rolled his ankle, didn't play the rest of that game. Chubb's injured. I think Malik Reed's injured. Like, the defense is hurt. Offense starting to get healthy.
Yes.
Big O back. Judy
coming back.
So there's some big gains there. Teddy's a bit banged up, but looking like he'd play. I think both these teams probably kind of in a similar space at the moment.
Perhaps we're looking like having really good defenses coming into the year, and whether it's injury or circumstances outside of their control, haven't lived up to the expectation.
Well, take Washington, for example. Gibson struggling with an injury. Curtis Samuel hasn't played for them.
Gibson is literally playing with fractures in his shins.
Exactly. And, Fitzpatrick is a couple of weeks away with his hip.
Taylor Heineke hasn't been bad, I don't think. No. He's doing his best. I think he ran for 90 yards against the Packers.
Scary Terry is by far their best player.
He's so
good. And Chase Young on the other side. That's where their talent is.
They've got a few good players. Obviously, all this external noise as well around the investigation into the higher ups at the club probably isn't doing them a world of good. In terms of this one, boys, what do we think? Monks, did you get those numbers on the Washington football team?
My difference was purely that Denver is at home. Otherwise, I would have been a Judas on this one.
Really? To the football team?
Maybe to the football team, maybe a different team. I'm getting close to being a Judas here, but I thought, this is a classic football game. Denver at home, hopefully, I think they'd win. If they don't think I would rephrase.
You double down on the fans yet?
No, but I should have laid out the timeline. Pat Sherman's got to get fired first, the offensive coordinator. So they lose that. He'd go first. He's the scapegoat, of course. And then they'd get rid of Fangio when they don't win some more games.
Okay.
Problem is, after Washington, they get into even more of their meaty part of their schedule. Got Dallas after that. Chiefs, Chargers, Raiders.
No, I don't like any of that.
No, neither do I. So if they're going to win a game, in the 2 months they've said they're a month in and haven't won a game yet, they need to win this game. Otherwise, they'll go 2 full months without winning a football game.
I'll bring up that schedule just in a second. Monks, if you wouldn't mind, the numbers on the Washington football team defense.
Yeah. So in terms of rankings, they are first in points, or last, I guess, in points allowed.
They're winning something.
They're ranked, first in points allowed at 210.
As in the most.
Yes.
Yep.
And then, you're pretty spot on there, Sean, with their secondary being pretty bad. They've let, passing yards, again, most 2,140. They've also let in the most touchdowns through passing on 19.
Well, I think everyone knows the game plan for them. It's spread them out, go wide, go get away from that front four and attack the weaker areas.
Yeah.
Run those front guys around, make them ragged. That's what you really want to focus on. So to take their pass rush out of them, and then you can just bang up their secondary.
That's it, yeah. And like looking at the rushing stats, the middle of the pack, they haven't let in or allowed that many yards or let in too many touchdowns in that respect. So it's all in the secondary at the moment.
You can pass on them, there's no point running.
That Broncos upcoming schedule after the Washington football team, they do have Dallas. Then they have the Eagles. That's a winnable one. But then Chargers and Chiefs, you're not too enthused about that. No. And then the Detroit Lions. So
then followed by Bengals, Raiders, Chargers, and Chiefs again. So.
Yeah, so that back 4 games, probably don't see any wins there. So if the Denver Broncos are to win a few games this year, they've got Washington this week, and then pencil in maybe the Eagles and the Lions.
Well, that's 6-10. So yeah.
A far cry from that 3-0 team that started off the year.
Well, no, 6-10. Actually, well,
6-11.
6-11. Yeah, you can't keep your head coaching job. I think for Fangio after 3 years below 500,
and him being a defensive guy and them struggling on defense.
There's chat that Kyle Flanders is going to get fired by the 49ers. They should write that wrong and rehire him, bring him back. For history's sake, they hired Vance Joseph instead of hiring Kyle Shanahan when Kyle probably should have won the job. But anyway,
we'll see what happens. Pray for Fangio.
Yes.
Yep.
Well, I didn't want to make a joke. They enshrined Mike Shanahan last week at the game.
They did?
Yeah. He's probably the coach that, again, he was going to come back after they fired Vance Joseph and would have picked Josh Allen at 3 or 5 instead of Bradley Chubb. So, again, he was blocked by John Elway, couldn't bring him back. We weren't allowed to bring him back.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda.
So the wrong coach, the right coach was in the building, but not on the sideline, as people want to say. Don't you say?
Do we get the odds on this yet?
Not yet. I tipped Broncos as well. They are favourites $1.53. The football team is $2.52. We've got a line of 3.5 and total match points of 44.5.
3 Broncos.
What was that, 44.5? No, I would go unders on that again.
Yeah, I don't see this being very high scoring at all.
I think Denver's averaging like 20 or 21 points a game, and Washington's not too many more than that. So.
We're just talking about how shit their defense is. Shows our faith in the Denver offense. Yeah. But three Broncos here. Moving into a slightly more interesting game, perhaps. Monkeys Tampa Bay Buccaneers take on a resurgent New Orleans Saints. They're 4-2. The Bucs are 6-1. They were way too good for the Chicago Bears last week. I think Tom Brady threw 4 touchdowns in the first half. The big story out of this one was the debacle around that 600th touchdown ball. Brady, freak of nature, 600 touchdowns in the NFL. Look, he's the GOAT. If you don't believe that,
it's not debatable anymore.
Yeah, I think you've got rocks for brains if you think someone else is better at football than him. However, Mike Evans gave away his 600th touchdown ball to a fan, security or someone from
equipment management.
Staffer on the who was sitting in the back end zone.
He went up and he said, "Hey man, that's Tom Brady's 600th touchdown ball. Can you give it back?" And he gave it pretty compliant.
Yeah,
gave it straight back. And then afterwards, people were kind of thinking, "Ooh, that ball's probably worth a bit."
Yeah. Well, even during the game, I was watching it. I think it was Tony Romo. He was broadcasting. As soon as he saw that the dude got the ball, it's like straight away. Tony Romo was like, "Yep, he's got to ransom that back. Like they're going to want that ball." He was going on about how the guy should be asking for dates with Giselle and all that sort of stuff.
You can't put a price on that, can you?
Well, apparently.
One Bitcoin versus one Giselle.
Well, apparently, people were saying that ball's worth
$500,000. Yeah,
yeah.
So the Bucks were like, $1,000 at the
store.
Yep.
Jerseys, gloves,
season
tickets,
signed shit. And then there was a bit more chat like, it's probably worth a bit more than that. And then a Bitcoin got thrown.
Yeah, well, of course, Tom Brady is the crypto backing. He's the face for, FTX. So then he was like, how about we flick him a Bitcoin? And they sorted him out with that. So
that's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
That's something that's, might just keep on growing.
Exactly. Hold on that for a little while and see how it goes. But I think the funny chat was also on the sideline that Mike Evans told Tom Brady, sorry, it was an accident.
Yeah, he didn't know.
He was and then Tom Brady's, accidentally not throwing another touchdown this season. So it was just like, hey, there's some elite chat there. So
that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Mike Evans did have 3 touchdown catches in this game. A
big exposure for him with AB out. I think AB out. You've got him in fantasy.
I haven't finished. He was on my bench last week.
COVID, I think. He was on the COVID list, wasn't he?
I think it was COVID.
Anyway, you didn't play.
No,
And
he's
Evans
back
to
this
benefit.
week, or is again a questionable this week, day to day.
Anyway,
Day-to-day.
anyway, they're playing the Saints.
Marshall
who-
and Latimer will get Mike Evans. That'll be an interesting matchup. But their defense, they're legit.
Yeah.
You guys see Demario Davis?
Yeah, he's so good.
He is like elite level middle linebacker. Had the closing play on that game in the Seattle Seahawks game. He's sideline to sideline, and he's big for an inside linebacker. Fuck, he's big. And then on the other side of the football for the Saints, Alvin Kamara, 30 touches, only had 51 rushing yards. That's a point of his game which has been really strong this year. Has been running the ball better than we've normally seen. But 10 catches, 128 yards and a touchdown, if you don't mind. Playing for the Monkey Go-Go Rangers, of course, in fantasy. He is very, very good at football. Boys, what do we think here? Bucks fan, obviously going to be
big
a
nuts.
little bit biased.
Mike Thomas, is he back?
No, I
Because
think,
I knew it was 6 weeks.
I think
and-
he's close. I don't think he's playing in this
Not
one.
this
You'll be able to chase that one up for
I'll
us.
chase that one, yeah.
Can this Saints defense stand up to maybe the best offense in the NFL?
Yeah, and then Mark Ingram, of course, also being added.
Yes,
Where,
yes.
What he adds to,
He'll be,
the
he'll
thunder and lightning essentially for him and
he
Kamara.
will have a Latavius Murray kind of impact.
Yeah,
If
a couple
if
carries.
that, maybe a few goal line, short yardage situations.
Essentially spelling Kamara for having 30 touches, and it's like, bro, I need a break.
I think that's all they would use him for. Obviously, welcoming him back to the city that he played a lot of football in. This is an interesting matchup for mine. I do think the Bucks and the experience of Tom Brady get over this nasty Saints defense.
Yeah, I agree.
But I do think they kept pretty close.
I picked Bucks.
Down in there?
Yep. So I'll start off with Mike Thomas. He is still out. Reports on the 18th of this month says that he's still a few weeks out. So
Getting close then. Well, that's 2 weeks ago.
Sounds like he's getting very close. And then you're back on Antonio Brown. He's actually doubtful this weekend. So I might have to reassess that. But
See what happens.
yeah, see what happens.
Tampa Bay are $1.44 and the New Orleans Saints are $2.80. The line is 4.5. I don't mind that actually for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the total match points 49.5. Interesting there. I don't know if that Saints offense is able to score enough to keep up with that. Let's go forward, boys, into Sunday Night Football. We've got two teams coming off a bye, and one team whose record is excellent in the Dallas Cowboys. They're 5-1, and one team who I think is a bit better than their 3-3 record suggests in the Minnesota Vikings. What do we think is going to happen here? I had a peek at the odds here, and it's quite surprising. The team that I would have thought should have been favourites are not favourites for this game. Dak Prescott, there's been a little bit of murmurs around him this week.
Monks, can you check that? Yeah,
it seems
is
like
he training?
I think from what I've heard, it
He's been
seems
practicing.
like he should be good to go.
Yeah.
A calf strain. is it
I
not?
think
Yeah,
I
it
think
was
Dak
tough.
said he wants to play, but whether maybe that decision taken out of his hands and they're like, hey Dak,
Yes.
sit down for a week and we'll
And
see.
if that happens, obviously a vastly different game.
well, maybe that's what the bookies are assuming. Maybe they know.
So maybe they know something that we don't know. Seems like the story of my life.
But back to your point, though, the Vikings, they are a better team than 3-3 to the point where I almost picked them in this. My concern with them is their defense, and they come across the Cowboys, which have one of the better offenses. They got weapons all over the field, so they will score points. And the Vikings will have to chase. I just don't think they can chase enough. Total match points, I think, is probably going to be in the 50s for this.
It is.
Yeah, so that probably leads that to my statement. I think this will be a high-scoring football game, and I think the Cowboys will get it done. I've backed them.
You pretty much
Sucked you off again?
encapsulated my thoughts on this one. Not quite two blowjobs in just yet, but I tend to
Where's your stamina?
agree with you there. I've gone the Cowboys. I think it will be high scoring, and if the Vikings games are anything to go off this year, it should be close.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so I'm just looking at the Vikings' losses this season. So week 1, it was to Cincinnati.
It's like 1-1-3-1.
Yeah, it's 3 points there.
That was overtime, I think. For me.
Yeah, overtime field goal. Yep.
Yep, sure. We'll go with that.
Keep going. That's right.
Week 2, they lost to Arizona Cardinals. So fair shout there. That was 1 point. And then they did lose by a touchdown to Cleveland. So 3 very tough games.
That's 3 of the better teams.
Those 2 very tough games.
They've lost 3 games by a total of 11 points.
Yeah. Yeah. Who did I go with?
I think that's my concern, of course, with the Vikings. They're going to have to chase in this game, and they've had to chase in a lot of those games to stay in it and to push it to the deep into the fourth quarter, deep into overtime. But I just don't think they can chase what the Cowboys are going to be putting down.
So I am backing on Dak being healthy and starting for both my tip and for fantasy.
That's if Dak's starting. If Dak's not safe,
that's the caveat, isn't it?
Flip it the other way. Vikings going to win.
It is. So I'm backing on him starting. I've gone with Cowboys. They are underdogs, as I mentioned with the surprise. $2.13 at the moment.
They know something, man.
For $1.09.
They know something, man.
Yeah, I know. Well, they're hedging their bets, I guess, at this point. He hasn't been training, so it's questionable.
Yeah.
The Vikes?
Yep, they are favourites, $1.72. We do have a line of 2.5. Total match points of 52.5.
Yeah.
Again, this all relies on Dak Prescott playing. You take the overs if he does. You take the unders if he does not.
Well, that may probably a juicy bet now if you bet on Dallas, because I guarantee as soon as they have the inactive actives come out and Dak's active and going to play, it'll flip.
Unless he doesn't play and it goes the other way.
Yes, of course, then you're fucked. But that's why it's called gambling.
Who is the backup? Because I saw Ben DiNucci
one of the blokes that played last year and stunk. So it's not Andy Dalton.
So DiNucci went to the practice squad. If you wouldn't mind looking up their depth chart, who is their number 2 and will play in this in case that Prescott does not? Cooper Rush. Cooper Rush is the backup, and Will Greer is in the side. Yep. Can't say I'm too versed in the careers of Cooper Rush and Will Greer.
Looks like Andy Dalton. That's all I've got.
Andy Dalton was very good at the Cincinnati Bengals for a long time. I don't know why so much hate gets put on his name.
Just because he's got red hair.
He's got no soul, as they say.
Shout out to our friend Michael Steenshaw. We love you and your red hair. Moving forward, the
final game,
Monday Night Football. The New York Giants. They got an upset win, I think, last week against the Panthers, and the Chiefs absolutely embarrassed by the Titans. If you wouldn't mind chasing up Saquon, I imagine it might be a day-to-day kind of circumstance.
Calf?
No, that was remember he stepped on his teammate's foot and he rolled his ankle and it swelled up. Like me watching a video of Marcus Stoinis.
Bulging disc.
Yes, a big bulging, let's say, thoracic 2 disc. The Chiefs, what is going on with them? We know that their defense is no good. They scored 3 points. They couldn't run the ball. Paddy Mahomes had a concussion that never helps, but he played a full.
Did he play the whole game?
No, he played about 3/4.
Yeah, I didn't think he finished it.
He did not finish the game, but he played a lot. He played a lot.
He played a lot of the game, and he's expected to play in this game.
Is my point, and he's expected to play in this. Yeah. I think the Chiefs come back here. Surely. The losses.
We've been saying that for a month, though. That's my concern.
But the New York Giants, and they're
not Tennessee.
They are banged up. They're not Tennessee. They're not Tennessee, and they're not Buffalo.
No,
and Baltimore is the other. Like the Chiefs haven't really lost the game to a shit team.
No, and
the Chargers have beaten them too.
I 100% agree with you, and that's why I've also picked the Chiefs. It was like they need to start riding the ship. Their defense is just not where it needs to be. And, of course, the defense is with the offensive line also not where it needs to be. The opposition defense has been really getting after Paddy Mahomes. But they need to find something and find some sort of momentum if they want to back up what they did last season.
Is that concerning? Because they spent so heavily in the off-season in the offensive line, and it doesn't seem to have made much of a difference.
But I think the other thing is, what have they got? 5 new starters as well. Like, it's a complete new offensive line. So they do need to build chemistry. They do need to work, kind of put that together.
But how
and
long
also
does that
play.
take?
Well, they also
Week 7, like you'd think that would all be sorted out by now.
True, but also you got to play and you got to take live bullets with Paddy Mahomes, who's a guy that really doesn't stay in the pocket a whole bunch as well. So there's you got to kind of work at it. How do you play with him versus where some of these guys came from with Derek Carr, who stays in the pocket a lot, from the the Patriots, who had Tom Brady for a long time over there, but they had Cam Newton last year, who then complete opposite of what Paddy is now, where he would run a lot more than he would pass options. So I think they're struggling to find their mojo, both on the offensive line and their defense. They do have weapons on the offense. They got the alien, the quarterback. I think they should beat the Giants. Giants are banged up. Daniel Jones can take as many one-handed catches as he wants, but I don't think they're beating the Chiefs.
I agree, and I think the Chiefs do this quite easily. But yeah, if they drop this game at home to the Giants,
I will say the Giants' D is sneaky good.
Yeah.
So that may concern me a little bit. I think this might be closer than people think it's going to be.
Ooh.
Like your statement, like they do it easy. I think with that defense, it make it closer, like lower scoring. Let's say it's lower scoring. Chiefs will still win, probably by 2 touchdowns, but it'll be lower scoring than people
2
think it
touchdowns.
is. Yeah.
So you're taking with the line.
Yep.
I can probably let you know what that is.
I'll drive that.
Have you got any of those updates on Saquon Barkley? I imagine it's not much.
Yeah, so I guess lucky for the Giants, they've got the Monday Night Football game. Extra day. So he is not officially practicing with the team. He's still working out with the trainers on the sideline. I guess at the moment, day to day, it's probably whether or not the Giants want to risk putting him in early.
Do you have their injury report in front of you? Because also their receivers.
Everyone's banged up.
bring that up as
Kadarius Toney's banged up. Sterling Shepard missed last game.
Golladay.
Yeah.
Golladay hasn't barely played this year. So if all of those guys are out, then they've got nothing left on offense.
And they've got one of the worst offensive lines as well. So
Yeah. So
it's why Daniel Jones was playing receiver last week.
well, yeah. So Caden Smith, tight end's questionable. Evan Ingram, tight end's questionable. Kadarius Toney's questionable. Everyone's questionable.
They got a big injury report.
Yeah.
The defensive line, though, the defense side is a little bit more healthier.
Jabril Peppers, injury reserve. Danny Shelton.
No, Peppers, I think, is done. Oh, injury reserve. Yeah, he hurt himself really badly during the week.
What did he do? ACL.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's in contract year, I think, as well. That's
right. Good player in the secondary. Yeah, look, this is only confirming what I think will happen in this game. The Kansas, you went Chiefs?
Yeah,
Kansas City Chiefs are $1.22 at home. The Giants are $4.35. The line, you said 2 touchdowns, is 9.5. So perhaps interesting there. And the over-under is 52.5 points. I don't see the Giants scoring enough points to justify going over there.
Yeah, I think, like I said, well,
especially when you're looking at that line as well.
Yeah.
They're expecting Giants to be scoring.
Yeah, well, I think, like you say, Giants probably get 14 points, and I think the Kansas City Chiefs will do 28. I don't think they'll go 30 plus.
40. That's 42 points. That gives you 10 points to spare there.
Yeah.
Tip of the week, go under?
I think unders in this.
I like it. The Ravens and the Raiders are on buys. We only have the 2 teams on buys after the 6-team bye-mageddon last week, and 2 pretty handy teams in the AFC there, so be aware of that. Fantasy owners of Lamar Jackson, of Darren Waller, Josh Jacobs.
Shout out Derek Carr. Like, he's second, I think, in yards for a quarterback.
You know what I saw this week? He is... He threw 31 for 34 last week, over 90%. In all of NFL history, there's been 3 games where someone's done that.
Yep.
He's done it twice. So very, very accurate passer, and some respect needs to be put on his name.
And I love when the media fucks it up and calls him David Carr, and his brother is like, I'll take the credit.
What's the age gap between those two?
Yeah, well, I think
David Carr must be
David was
a lot
first round
older than him.
pick in like 01 or some shit like
I
that.
feel like it's 12-year gap between them, maybe.
Maybe not that many double digits. I'd say it's between 8 and 10. That's my thought.
Get the under-overs on.
Yeah, overs on. Marks, can you get us an answer on David versus Derek?
We got David Carradine coming up.
How the hell's that happen? wait.
David Carr, and I'll do Derek if you want.
David is 42.
So Derek would be about 20. Dude, it's like, this is like 14, 15 years. Easy.
Derek's 30.
Yeah.
There you go.
What is
I wonder if they have a couple of
12 years.
Yeah.
12 years.
Can you get anything on their family real quick? Are they just two brothers, or do they have a whole bunch of brothers in between them? Early years.
We've got Darren Carr as a brother.
Oh, Big Daz. Big Dick Daz.
Yeah.
He looks burly. He doesn't look like a quarterback. Big Daz.
No, I can't find anything on full family here, but yeah, that's I guess interesting.
12 years, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just three brothers in the family.
Yep.
What some may consider a surprise, I think, for the Carr family for Derek.
Perhaps. Shout out to my youngest brother Sam, who is 9 years younger than me.
Well, I think same with my brother, so there you go.
That'll do us for the NFL.
NFL hour and probably 20, I think, in the books for this week.
Yeah,
Okay, wrapped up.
Yeah, a lot of games. Kick us off for the NRL and fuck me, the NBA, please. While I take a break.
So the NBA announced their top 75 players this week. It turned out to be 76 due to some tie. I'm not sure how they couldn't work that one out. But it was in commemoration of the 75th anniversary of the league. Some notable snubs included Dwight Howard, Manu Ginobili, multiple NBA champion, obviously led Argentina to a gold medal. Maybe they don't consider the international game. And Klay Thompson, been sitting on the pine for just about 2 years now with these horrific injuries, his ACL and his Achilles. And the Warriors, you don't want to kick a man while he's down or anything. The bloke's barely paid for 2 years. They got him a jersey which said Klay Thompson 77, just missing out on the top 75. Klay took it pretty well. Had a bit of a laugh about it. Do feel for the bloke. All reports are he's maybe a month away.
That's
So
good.
the Warriors, they've started pretty well. When you imagine Klay Thompson coming back into that side, they might be a force to come later in the year. Our Paddy Mills, we spoke about him last week on opening night, went 7 for 7 from 3-point range. He backed that up in his next game, making 3 3-pointers, the first player in NBA history to start a season to go 10 for 10 from 3-point range. It took him into the third game for him to actually miss a 3-pointer. That was against Charlotte. He's also put up 21 points in 23 minutes against the Wizards. Kyrie Irving, look, the Nets haven't. I think they're 2 and 3. They haven't really been putting the results on the board, but Paddy Mills is firing for us Aussie fans. Surely.
Has Irving been playing any of the away games?
No, has not played just yet. So I think the Nets are going pretty hard on this stance with Kyrie. Look, for us Aussie basketball fans, it's good to see Paddy firing there at his new gig there in Brooklyn. Speaking,
because what we love is Australians doing excellent things in basketball.
Well, Josh Giddey, I'm glad you mentioned the second youngest player ever to have 10 assists in the NBA, 19 years of age, and a guy you might have heard of him, LeBron James. He was the youngest guy to do that. So Josh Giddey in pretty good company there. Already, people are starting to see him leading that OKC side around at such a young, tender age. Boys, do you remember 19? Jeez. A long time ago.
It's a few years ago now.
Long time ago. To be out there commanding an NBA side around is very impressive. The sky is the limit there for Josh Giddey. The Suns
Definitely.
beat the Lakers at their own house on Friday night, and there was a bit of a spat between AD and Dwight Howard, teammates, of course.
Yes.
It makes you wonder all this money in putting together a superstar team. Perhaps some of the egos might be getting in the way of it.
Yeah, well, that's always the challenge you have with the megastars. I don't want to say they're all divas, but they've all got their own. They've all got personas, and they've all done it their own way to get to the point where they're at.
Yeah.
So when you put them all together, they're all alphas. So you think LeBron's going to be leading the team? Yeah. He's LeBron, but also he's hurt at the moment.
Mr. Fuse.
So maybe they're trying to. Who's number two? Essentially, he's trying to assert themselves. Dwight Howard, of course, being there probably in the back end of his career compared to where AD is as a not the youngest player in the world, but as in a guy that's definitely ascending himself into the upper echelons of the league, but at still a young age comparable to the other guys we just mentioned. The Lakers will be an interesting team. I think they're kind of the team that'll struggle the first quarter of the year. They need to hit their strap. They got to click. That chemistry's got to hit, and then they'll probably blow some teams out of the water, and they'll have a really good run towards the end of the season and deep into the playoffs. If they stay healthy with the retirement home they have over there with the old men playing basketball for them.
I'm not sold on this Lakers team. A week is it's not that long in the grand scheme of the NBA, but just a little bit of unrest there. LeBron being hurt when Russ Westbrook has come in to take over, with LeBron out, turn the ball over a lot. They blew a massive lead the other day. Who was that against? Was it against the Suns?
Have they played someone else besides the Suns? Because I think Russell got a triple-double, didn't he, the other day?
Yeah, well, he got a quadruple-double, actually, because he had 10 turnovers in that one. It wasn't it wasn't the Suns. It was a team that they should have beaten.
Was it Knicks or OKC? I have a feeling it was some orange and blue team.
Monks, bring it up.
Let's find it for us. Who have the Lakers played? Just Lakers schedule for us.
How's this proving more?
It was OKC. It was OKC.
OKC.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, there we go. It's right in front of me.
They're up 26 points at the half in that one.
Because I do remember, because our boy was leading them
I think
to the victory in that game. So there you go.
We've come full circle here. A few blokes had massive games, so shout out just quickly to the blokes that put up 40 during the week. Miles Turner for the Pacers. He's looking pretty good. He also had 10 rebounds that night. PG-13, Playoff George. He put up 41, but they lost to the Grizzlies in that one. And another bloke that put up 40 in a loss was Ja Morant. He is going in the right direction. Watch him grow this year. He's an all-star this year, I think. And speaking of, Jason Tatum, his second game of 41, of 40-plus, I should say, in their win over the Hornets. But, boys, Ben Simmons, what is going on with him? The 76ers, Joel Embiid, seems like he's sort of backtracked on his comments from a week ago.
True, but one, they haven't won a game also without him. So they've struggled to start the year.
Yes.
Probably because of all the other media hype and all the other bullshit that's going on. By all accounts, Ben, he got kicked out of training the other day. And by all accounts, it was what we thought it was. He was turning up like Marshall Lynch. I just don't want to get fined.
There you go.
Doing the absolute bare minimum. Some reports he stood in the one spot for 40 minutes of training. Because he doesn't want to. Obviously, he's trying to be there for leverage, as in, I'm happy to just show up and do fuck all for the next 4 years if you don't trade me.
The bare minimum.
Yeah, so he wants out. I think he's had enough of Philly. They tried to smooth it over. The fans, I think, were chanting, "Where's Ben Simmons?" At the game. So
Philadelphia not known for its empathetic, caring fans.
No, not at all. So whether they actually want him there or whether it's just bullshit, it's like, do something with Ben. You got to sort that shit out. So one, we can either move forward with it or we can cut loose and, again, move forward with the new situation, whoever the difference maker is they want as the replacement. But I don't think Ben sees out the season the way they are, where he just turns up, doesn't get fined, makes his money, probably doesn't get any match payments, but makes bare minimum of his contract for his money, and just hangs around. I think they will have to move him, and potentially sooner rather than later, because the Sixers, the 76ers, they need to start winning matches. If
they're 3-2, they're 3-2. Outside of Ben, Joel Embiid is a machine.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not a good thing for the team dynamic to have. Look, I'll say it. Him being a diva.
Well, I think.
Well, they did bury him, so he does have right to say, like, the coach buried me, Embiid buried me after the past. Like, probably rightful criticism, but do that behind closed doors, not in front of the media.
It has been very public, hasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So there's a huge falling out of there, and so he's just like, well, you guys don't have my back. Fuck you. I'm wanting to go somewhere where I feel wanted. So I can see that side of the story as well. But he's doing the other side of it. He's kind of looking like the villain because he's trying to push his agenda and trying to get out. So, and both sides, I think, need to work something out where they both feel happy with it, and we can move forward and don't have to talk about this shit. Because Ben Simmons' watch is not something I'll report on every single week.
Indeed.
True.
Is that something there, Monks?
Yeah, just real quickly, I guess. Legends of the game, both Allen Iverson and Charles Barkley both sort of came out this week as well, saying that
both were at the 76ers.
Yeah, both were at the 76ers. Iverson was sort of backing Simmons a little bit, saying the crowd wants his supporters lose your back. Well, it's a tough crowd to, I guess, perform in front of.
Sure.
And then, but Barkley on the other side was saying Simmons probably burned the bridges with the team, in the locker room, and the supporters. So they're both sort of saying, it seems pretty unattainable there. So it looks like he'll be moving on.
It's messy.
Yes.
Like watching your parents get divorced, it's just dragging out. That actually hasn't happened to any of us, but I can only empathise.
Luckily.
With what it would feel like. It seems like the writing is on the wall. It would seem for Ben Simmons and the 76ers.
No one's happy, and something needs to be done. I think is
correct
for everyone involved.
Let's
think of the children.
Let's talk about the week in basketball and the standings. The Utah Jazz are undefeated.
Which is the team that absolutely no one talks about. Same thing as last year. We speak about them, but everyone else is like kind of ignores the fact that Jazz, currently undefeated, had an awesome record last year, and they just. Well, they flamed out in the playoffs. But anyway.
That's the thing that people worry about. Jazz will be...
They play excellent team basketball, but...
They'll be a force. We did speak last week on the pod that the Lakers and the Nets were short price favourites to take out the East and the West. We thought it was way too short to be putting money on either of those. The Warriors are off to a good start without Clay. So very good...
he should be back very soon, by all accounts.
I think when you went out for a wee, I think we were speaking maybe a month, within a month.
Yep.
No need to rush. Long year. You just want him coming into, into the playoffs feeling good. He'll probably play about half a season by all accounts.
Mm-hmm.
Over in the East, a few disappointing sort of starts. The Nets are 2-3. You wouldn't have expected that. The Celtics are 2-3. You also wouldn't have expected that. It is also very early in the year. The New York Knickerbockers, they picked up Evan Fournier and Kemba Walker in the off-season.
Well, the one that impressed me there, I think, is number 4, the Bulls. Because they've had basically a whole rebuild in the off-season with all the guys they've brought in. So... they've obviously done a good enough job. They've started off the season really, really well.
4-1.
Ball, I think, is over there playing pretty well for them. So
and Zach LaVine is looking like a superstar there. Obviously, early days in the NBA, but it's back. It's nice to see daily basketball. We'll touch back in a week's time. And a week is a long time in the NBA. A lot can happen. And hopefully it's not just the Ben Simmons report next week.
Yes.
That's it.
Let's have a look at some soccer, boys.
Yeah, a little bit of soccer news.
We saw some goals in the EPL over the weekend. Unfortunately, they tended to be just to the one side. Chelsea consolidated their top of the table position. 7 they put on Norwich, the poor Canaries. Watford beating Everton 5-2. Man City 4-1. Brighton were 4th last week. I think they've dropped down to a measly 5th. So good stuff out of them. And the big talking point was United getting embarrassed at home at the Theatre of Dreams, the Theatre of Nightmares, more like it, on the weekend. 5-0 to Liverpool. Mo Salah, he's got a hat-trick. I think it's undeniable now that he is the best striker in the world. A lot of noise around Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Is his job in trouble? Time will tell. With that list, they probably shouldn't be getting done like that at home. In terms of guys that actually did get in trouble, Barcelona coach Ronald Koeman, he's gone. He was at the helm for 14 months, and it's an absolute shit show there. One of the biggest clubs in the world. Obviously, losing Messi was massive, pretty hard to replace one of the best players of all time. But it seems like he was pretty involved in losing Luis Suarez. And, boys, could you imagine Barcelona have 15 points out of 10 games in La Liga? I think they're 9th. Do you know who is top of La Liga? It will surprise you.
Well, I'm assuming it's then not Madrid or Juventus. No, that's Italian.
It wouldn't be Juventus because they're
Italian, yeah.
They're in Italy.
It's getting late for me now.
Yeah, and we're talking about soccer. It's probably not
and La Liga at that.
your strongest point.
Spanish soccer is not my strong suit.
Real Sociedad is top of La Liga, 10 games into it. And I think Real Madrid is 2nd. I think Atletico is 6th. So it's the world's the oyster in La Liga there, and Barcelona really reeling after the loss of one of the best players in all time.
Oh, big time. Final round, lads.
Final round. Let's go.
We need to kick off, of course, with UFC and a little bit of boxing news. The big fight over the weekend, we talked about it last week. Paulo Costa taking on Marvin Vettori. This was going to be a catch weight at 195, and it ended up being at 205 because Costa couldn't cut the weight. As we said last week, he came into that press conference at 211. So in total, he cut 6 pounds, and I think a lot of the other UFC fighters were getting stuck in him. Was like, you do that in 30 minutes. That's light work. So what's really going on there? We joked, sure. I'll nick that. We joked, he had training camp issues and his doctor not being available for his potential cycle off because he looked whammed in this fight. He was absolutely massive, even bigger than Vettori, considering they're both meant to be middleweights. He looked very, very big in this one. Overall, was a pretty good fight from all aspects. Everyone was worried about Costa's cardio coming into this, but not having to cut weight really.
That was my main concern, yeah.
They had the 5th most significant strikes, the highest with a guy not named Holloway within the fight. But very much Vettori won the rounds. He did eat a huge head kick at one point, but he's boxing to keep the right distance and the takedowns he needed at the right time really did enough to stifle Paul Costa's power game where he really was trying to take his head off. But to Costa's credit, he maintained the pace for 5 rounds, tried to maintain his pace at least, get off his big shots and try to do damage. But Vettori gets the win here. I think it was 4-1 on the judges' cards, and I think that was a fair assessment from what I saw of this fight. Very good for Vettori, puts him back square into that conversation about UFC middleweight title contention. Paul Costa, by all accounts, will stay at 205. Dana doesn't want him to try and push down to middleweight anymore.
What's your take on this, boys? Is it fair to just them go, we'll do a semi catch weight and Paulo's fighting at a much heavier weight than Vettori? You
could see the size difference in the two of them.
And you've got a long time to prepare.
Well, that's the thing. You sign the contract at 185. The professionalism side of it is you need to get down to that and be able to do that. But kind of the the stance that Costa took coming into the fight was very much just like, not that I'm bigger than the sport, but that, hey, I'm a big name. If you want to make sure this fight happens, you got to meet my terms, which was not the terms originally agreed in the contract. But Vettori was like, hey, I want to make this fight happen. probably quietly confident he could get the win in this.
Yeah.
So, and it is a huge fight for them both in the division, both having lost recently to the champion, that they need to push themselves back into that conversation. So
That's it. Yeah, huge props on Vittori, like taking that fight.
Did get 20% of Costa's, of course, purse, but still, like, he did fight a dude that probably had 20 plus pounds on him by the time they gave fight time.
Wow.
That's it, yeah. Definitely, like, knowing that you could walk away with an L from that with that huge weight difference is, huge props to Vittori.
So Costa stays at light heavyweight, I think, which is kind of interesting. There's some fun fights there. The light heavyweight championships on this weekend, and putting Costa in that conversation does interest me. He's a good fighter. I just think the professionalism of the fight week and how it all went down, don't think it's what you want to say.
But if he's getting banged up at guys by middleweights when he can't make weight, I don't see him going into light heavyweight and bothering a Jan Blachowicz. Or
depends on what source he's on. If he
allegedly. Speaking of, Jan Blachowicz takes on Glover Teixeira in the light heavyweight championship of the world, UFC 267 on Fight Island, which does put it at a bit of a weird time for us here down under.
Early morning?
Very early morning. Some other very interesting fights on the main card. Peter Yan taking on Corey the Sandman Sandhagen. And an interesting one here, lightweight.
So I think that's for the interim belt as well, because Sterling had pulled out, of course, trying to rematch Jan.
Yeah. So it's just about a co-main event, really.
It's a big fight.
And then some other really interesting ones there on the main card. Islam Makhachev taking on New Zealand's Dan Hooker.
That's his second fight in 36 days.
Yeah. He fought last month, wasn't it?
Yep. 25th.
How the hell do people do that? I want to know.
And considering he was partying with Volk afterwards, and she obviously got straight back in camp, made lightweight again.
That's nuts, man.
And he's a tall bloke as well. He cuts to get to that.
To do that in a month, ridiculous.
Oh yes.
And he looked cut at the weigh-in.
He looked so cut.
Cut. But I mean, just stay in camp for a whole extra month.
True. Yeah, he didn't go home. He just stayed in camp.
Yeah.
And heavyweights, Alexander Volkov taking on Marcin Tybura. That's probably the most interesting ones on the main event there. Let's go to the big one, boys. Could you see Glover knocking off Blachowicz?
I think
Glover is old.
He's 41 or 42. If he wins, he'd be the oldest UFC champion, I think. Or maybe DC's got that record.
He is 42.
Maybe DC doesn't have. He'll be up there as one.
I can't imagine. I don't think anyone's been a champion at that age.
Yeah. But hey, he could do it. And got to take on Jan, of course, though.
World of experience. I don't see the
Polish power, boys.
Man, and he just looks so big at light heavyweight. He makes the weight, and then you see him, and you're like, that motherfucker isn't 205 when he's in that octagon. Bro. Yeah, that's wild, man. And in his power, don't sleep on Blachowicz's power. He is a scary motherfucker. Look, Glover, if it goes to the ground. You know, that BJJ kind of side of things, maybe, but
Jan. All Glover's recent fights, they've been stand-up battles.
Jan for mine.
Yeah, Jan for mine for me. Hopefully lasts longer than the first round. I don't want to see Glover go out there and just get annihilated like he did against, say, Rumble or something in the past.
And it's sad.
You want to see him have a good fight.
It's sad, man, when someone who's been an elite athlete for so many years and, a staple of the sport, maybe they should have hung up the gloves a little bit, a few years ago. You don't want them to go out there and get, fucking embarrassed on the main stage. I'm just bringing up the odds here. Blachowicz, $1.25, perhaps a little shorter than one would expect, but I don't see him losing this.
No, I think he keeps his belt.
Jan and Sandhagen. Jan is $1.37 to Sandhagen's $2.92. Could we see Sandhagen pulling off an upset here? I think is
Sandhagen coming off a loss.
Yeah, he lost. He had Nell last time. I'm pretty sure.
Who did he lose? Did he lose to Sterling?
No.
Who did he lose to? He lost to someone interesting.
Can you bring that one up for Corey Sandhagen?
Was it TJ? Am I misremembering this?
He did fight TJ.
Yeah, it's TJ.
Yeah, he lost to TJ. Yeah. So, you know.
That wasn't long
Back in
ago
July.
either.
Yeah,
July,
that was
yeah.
not that long ago. And, you know, it's interesting he's been pushed kind of straight into this co-main. Maybe this isn't an interim title fight, but they've kept this fight alive. But Jan, like, he was beating Sterling pillar to post, of course, through the illegal knee. And deep in that fight after dominating it throughout, like, we knew who was going to win that fight. So can he beat... Yeah, can Sandhagen beat Jan after losing to TJ Gilsaw? I'm doing some UFC maths here. I don't think so. My favourite Jan. His boxing's just elite, and he's just so good.
Also hard to go past Jan. However, if you put a gun to my head and I had to pick Glover Teixeira to get the upset or Corey Sandhagen, I'd take the Sandman.
Yeah, true.
I think so, yeah. Randy Couture, oldest UFC champion, 45.
45.
True. Yeah.
When was that?
He did re-win that belt like 4 or 5 times. So.
That would have been like UFC 50 or something.
No, 100 and something.
Figure this
Do you
one
reckon it was in the
out.
hundreds?
Actually, no. What was UFC 100 was Brock, so it must be before. No, it was at UFC 200 was
I
Brock.
don't think it's triple digits for Randy Couture.
No, UFC 100 was Brock, and he would have won it before then.
This
so
is probably before to be.
I'd say 80s, 90s before he. I think he lost it.
So the last time he won the belt was UFC 68.
Let's go.
Yeah, and when
Long
did,
time ago.
so well, if he had the belt, then when was his next fight?
So that was in March 2007. In August 2007, he defended the belt in UFC 74.
Full disclosure, in 2007, I didn't know what the UFC was.
Well, Randy Couture elite won both light
Yeah.
heavyweight and lightweight divisions.
I think I remember
so-
we got into it when
Well, it's
UFC
just coming-
100.
Just
I think
coming
I
out of school.
remember
like,
watching that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think 100
Um,
was big, and pretty sure that was Lesnar and GSP.
Yeah.
I think about 80 was where I got really deep into it, and I've watched back, I think, up to 50. So there's about 30 UFCs I haven't watched yet in between the 50 and 80s.
What are the
Yeah.
first, 1 to 30 like? They would be...
Let me put it this way.
The rules were very different.
Oh, different, but I think from 30 into the 40s kind of cemented where they are now. But the big difference was they stood them up a lot quicker. So the ground game was a lot less.
Yeah.
So they're actually a lot more fast-paced and action-packed than, say, the fights we get now. But it doesn't allow the elite groundwork to happen.
Sure.
So it's actually a very different way of UFC than what we have now.
Right.
Yeah.
But
Remember-
there's some really good fights. You know, it goes to the ground, they're there for about 10 seconds, and even Herb's still there, and Herb will stand them up because that's the direction. And then they just go away and start banging on each other, and you're just like, you know, watching that. Essentially, it was the UFC that was like, you got to kill a man. You're just like, we want blood,
Violence.
we want violence. Exactly. That was their calling card. Whereas now it's more of turned to a
sport.
elite
Yeah.
technique, and especially the ground side of it has. You know, even after Gracie in the very early days, is kind of going back to that because they had I don't want to call them meatheads, but they had the big wrestlers come through, which really dominated the ground and pound, the violent side of it. Then the stand-up fights. You know, Chuck Liddell's a classic one. Excellent history, even for a sport that's 98. That's not even 30 years old.
It's
So
younger than we are.
yeah, and another really big growing sport out there. So yeah.
Looking forward to it. As we said early, for fight fans here in Australia, don't miss it because it is in Fight Island. It is not in the United States. So the main card we're expecting 8 o'clock in the morning, Australian time.
Yep.
So get up early if you want to catch that one. Boys, Conor McGregor, he's in the news again for all the wrong reasons. I think
Punching another bloke, of course.
this happened before our last ep. We kind of only just cottoned on.
Well, they
no.
pressed charges in between it.
It was, I think it was as it was live because I remember seeing it as
Reading
we were
it.
talking about
Yeah,
UFC
right.
last week. We just didn't get to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he was out partying after the baptism of his son.
As you do.
Take of that as you will. And he was with Italian DJ Francesco Faccinetti, who I had a look. He's got over 1 million followers on Instagram. He's a pretty well-known DJ. Apparently, they're having a good time, and then things turned south very quickly. McGregor landed a few on him and broke his nose, apparently in front of 10 witnesses. I'm not sure if charges have been laid. I don't know if you guys have got anything to
I think that
add
was
there.
the big story. The big part of the story was, the DJ was going to press assault charges or some shit like that. So I don't think he was arrested, but those charges have been pressed. Whether they'll get squashed quickly or not, who knows? But that was part of the report.
How does this make you feel about Conor these days?
I thought about this, and then I went back to it, and I kind of remember it was like, he's an Irish lad. So what do we expect? Honestly, he's just a lad. Not from the hood, but he's from a low economic area of Ireland. He punched his way out of it. There's of course Irish gang violence and the Irish, football hooligans, like the whole kind of that sentiment. Like that's where he comes from. You're just like, what do you expect? We just give him $1 billion. That's all we've done.
Yeah,
and made him a massive public figure. It's like he solves problems with his hands. That shit hasn't changed.
So before we continue this discussion,
how many beers?
Wow, only 2. COVID's hit me hard. So he was in Rome because he baptized his son at the Vatican.
Yeah.
So what does that tell you about?
He's got too much fucking money. He's just like, I'll get on my $100 million yacht and we'll sail down the fucking Vatican so I can get my son baptized, just to show, like it's all symbol. But you got to remember, he's still an Irish lad. I think
it goes beyond that. I think there's something like he's got that much money that he thinks that he can just do whatever he wants and there's no repercussions.
Yeah, well, he's an entertainer. That's his.
No,
he's a spotlight. That's
not
his
entertaining.
agenda.
Just punching a DJ in the face is not entertainment. You do that in an octagon, and quite frankly, he's been shit in the octagon of late. Like,
well, he's fighting killers. Like, I'm not trying to. I don't want to be the defender of Conor McGregor here on the table, but I kind of come to realize it's like he's an Irish meathead that we gave fuckloads of money to, that he thinks he can get away with what he wants, but he's still an Irish meathead. So I was like, well, yeah.
You never forget what Conor McGregor brought to the sport, and the excitement, that he brought. He brought in the casual fan.
Yeah, but
it's not the sport that it is.
How'd he do it? With his hands. Like I said, he solves all these problems with his hands.
Yeah, I'm off him. I'm well off him. I think the Poirier fight, I've made that known on this podcast. I would love to see Poirier go out there and beat him. He did that. For mine, Conor makes more noise out of the octagon these days than he does in it.
He needs to win in a bad way. That is for sure.
You can't take away what he achieved, but yeah, like you say, Monkey, I think he thinks he's bigger than the sport itself, and that ego for mine is getting a bit on the nose.
Yeah.
I'll tell you who's someone that we might be able to get around, whose ego is well in check. He's a bit.
I thought you were going to talk about Logan Paul for a second. I was like, what the fuck? Keep going.
I was going to talk about young Harry Garside. He's a bit of an unusual cat. We saw him in the Olympics. He won a bronze medal, Australia's first bronze medal in boxing for donkey's years, since before we were born. He's apparently set to go on the Tim Tszyu undercard later in November. He paints his nails. He's outspoken about expressing yourself and mental health. He's worked as a plumber, and now he's set to make his professional debut. And he's got champion trainer Johnny Lewis coming out of retirement to mentor him. Johnny Lewis has mentored most of the great Australian boxers of late. So looking forward to see Harry going at it. Won some fans at the Tokyo Olympics, and wishing him all the best.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I think we need to talk more about that card, but I think we'll save that when I get to closer.
Yes. Not far off. Yeah,
for Tim Tszyu. It's kind of gone under the radar a little bit. I think there's been a bit of hoopla about COVID and where they're going to have that fight, etc. But I think shit's starting to get sorted out in this country. As you can see, I can now touch Peps instead of watching him go like this and not talk to me.
Isn't that you when you give me 2 blowjobs in one podcast? That's what we spoke about before, isn't it? Mark, you're not a fan of it. Look, I'm excited. I haven't seen you guys for a long time.
It's great being back in the studio.
You know,
We might have to go back to long distance if this keeps up.
I'd say, do you want me to sit between you two? But I don't. I'm scared.
Eiffel Tower, baby.
jeez. All right,
Anyway, we got
moving forward.
Yeah, I mentioned Logan Paul. The news during the week: Logan Paul potentially having a fight against Mike Tyson. I think in
What
the
have
notes
you
it
read?
says
What have you
"lol"
read?
there.
Is this happening?
I think it's a chat. They're trying to put the fight together. Whether it happens or not, who knows? But
Everyone would be interested.
well, you got yeah. Mike Tyson's had some of those grandpa fights against retired legends. Of course, Logan Paul went the distance with Floyd Mayweather. Of course, obviously, the both have sold pretty well. People, eyeballs, talking about boxing, etc. Someone obviously had the genius idea how about we put the two together. Logan is big, but he's not heavyweight Mike Tyson big, I don't think.
He's taller than him.
He's taller. I mean, we're talking 5'11" versus 6'2".
Yep.
Probably roughly the same sort of weight. But we are talking about Mike Tyson, who's, 50, 60 pounds heavier than what Floyd was in comparison. So,
Well, who would you rather fight? Floyd Mayweather now or Mike Tyson now?
probably neither. Because they're still going to fucking kill me.
That's a
If you had
business
to choose.
decision. That's a business decision.
Yeah, well,
I'd rather fight Floyd Mayweather.
Yeah.
Defensively, undefeated, one of the quickest feet, one of the quickest hands in boxing ever, but made a living out of not getting hit.
well,
You know what Mike Tyson made a living out of? Killing people.
yeah, well, I think that's the point. You're saying I'm going to get knocked out by Floyd Mayweather, but I'm probably not going to have long-term brain damage. If I get knocked out by Mike Tyson, I will have long-term brain damage.
Floyd, for
You're
me
probably gonna-
personally, Floyd gonna have to get up on that step ladder and try and get one on me. But
Your nose is big enough; you'll break one part of it.
big time, big time.
Yeah.
He'll be out there breaking my nose like Connor's out there breaking poor Italian DJs' noses.
I wanted to
just-
check if it's a relation or not, but
You go back far enough, probably is. Look,
I just remember Tyson's videos leading up to that fight. He's still got so much power behind those
he's
hands.
a fucking weapon.
he throws one of his lethal hooks. You go 9-9. That's the answer to that. And Logan Paul, he ate punches. Potentially, he got knocked out in that fight against Floyd, and Floyd held him up and was like, "Hey, I'll keep you up here, and we'll keep going." Like, who knows what was going on with all that? But Mike Tyson's a different beast, power wise, definitely.
Even at mid-50s. I'd love to see this.
Yeah, for shits and giggles. It's like, as
shits
if
and
you wouldn't.
gigs. It does speak volumes as to where boxing is as a sport.
Compared to what we had a couple of weeks ago,
Wilder
which was
and
elite.
Wilder and Fury going at it in one of the best heavyweight bouts in our memory.
Yep.
We can't remember back to the glory days of the heavyweight division.
So the last decade at least. Like
Yeah.
it probably go back to the last one I can think of was probably when Fury won the belt from Vlad. Like it was back that
Klitschko,
against Klitschko. Like I think that was one of those really big stepping stones. But then Klitschko had that belt for a decade leading up to it, so no one cared at that point. So it was a surprise, and then we've built to the point where we are now.
It's a weird place we're in, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's a weird
you know,
place.
We've 2 decades, and we've got a couple of really good fights. We've built the storylines now. It's taken 2 decades to get to those really good storylines in the heavyweight division, which is then driving boxing forward. Because outside of that, Canelo's for casuals is probably the only one people know about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'd love to see it happen. I think Logan will probably get killed, but hey, people want to see that happen.
How much?
money fight.
How many dollars would you take to fight Mike Tyson?
Depends how long's the fight.
I don't know, 8 rounds. Like he's gonna kill you.
It's going to end in the first round.
It's gonna end with you on the canvas.
Well, if it was a 1-round fight in 3 minutes, I think I can run hopefully long enough that I can get out of that.
I haven't seen you run for a good 10 years. And to your credit, quite nimble actually back in the day. Quite nimble.
Yeah.
I just haven't seen it for a long time. It's weird, isn't it? It's like boxing's becoming the WWE. You know, it's like sports entertainment.
Exactly.
That's not too far of a stretch of a comparison.
Well, it's sports entertainment with potential. Well, there's physical harm, of course, in the WWE because they can get injuries, but there's potential for knockouts, actual real knockouts.
Yeah.
People going to sleep. And, you know, the bloodthirsty human population that we are wants to see that, and especially a guy that has the history in the background, and Logan does. Yeah, everyone wants to see him get knocked out, and that's what sells pay-per-views. It sells the views. People want to tune in. And then when you talk about Mike Tyson, who cares if he's 50? He's Iron Mike.
Mike. He's the baddest man on the planet. I'll tell you what, I wouldn't mind seeing Jake Paul fight him because he seems more incessant than his brother.
Yeah. Well, even on that, like I think I was reading this week that Jake Paul and Tommy Fury fight might not happen because Jake Paul is looking at fighting boxers worse than him just so they can keep his record up, I guess. Yeah. And he's still going to be making money off that.
Sure.
That's just where the sport's at the moment. It's like,
well, the other thing is like Tom Fury's not a huge name outside the boxing world either.
Yeah.
Fighting ex-UFC, champions, that is because people know who they are.
Totally.
Again, he's pick and choose the guys that people know that can potentially build up my profile, like a Conor McGregor. So that I'd prefer more. Will it ever happen? Probably not. But hey, I think that shit would be funny as fuck.
Moving forward.
Yeah. Let's talk about the Bumhole League.
So there's some news that the NRL may be looking at a draft to try and address the the bridge between
the chasm, as you will.
The chasm. the Grand Canyon that is the difference between the good sides and the bad sides. What did you hear about this?
Well, I think that was the headline, and I think all the sentiment from all the fans online was very much just like, you've got a problem, you got a parity problem here, and you've introduced rules that have affected that parity problem, but you don't want to address that issue. You want to add something else, which potentially may or may not fix this problem. But either way, if I'm the NRL Draft, extra TV kind of event, need to make money. I think from that perspective, it might not help the on-field product, but it helps the zeros on the end of TV deals, especially if they can build hype and build that lead up to it, and build the draft up.
Yeah.
Problem is, it probably goes the way the AFL draft currently is, and though the VFL and though the NEFL of old are good competitions, they're not. There's just not that hype around the second, especially the rugby league. There's not a huge hype around the lower grades, and they are separated. You've got the New South Wales, the Sydney Cup, and then you got Queensland Rugby League. Of course, they play different. There's besides the locals that really get around their teams. There's not a huge audience across the East Coast which would get in and get involved with that. It's not like college football where there's hype everywhere. And that's very hard to emulate in
apples
Australia.
And oranges.
Oh, big time. So if they want an NFL style draft, they're going to spend the next 50 years getting to that point. But I think maybe a draft system, I think it's good TV is what I think it adds to. Yeah. But I think it goes very much the way the AFL draft goes. And you see a lot of those AFL boys, especially out of Victoria, where they go, shit, I didn't really want to go to Western Australia. Can I get traded back to Victoria after a couple of years?
We did see that a lot in this trade period in the AFL.
Yeah. So I wonder if there's a lot of, those, Western Sydney boys that end up playing in Melbourne or Queensland or even fucking New Zealand. And they're like, I'm after 2 years, this is not right for me. Send me elsewhere.
It's interesting. It's always been spoken about, but it's never really been considered. That what makes me think is how real is this news? Is it just a story?
If you think about the two probably most powerful teams currently with their backing in the league,
Melbourne and Roosters.
Yeah, exactly. They're not going to want this. They're going to say, fuck no.
We like our development.
Yeah. And the third one, probably Brisbane. Again, they're just like, hey, we're trying to protect all our juniors from the Dolphins that aren't in Redcliffe at the moment. So, they're not going to want to sign up to this. And some of the other clubs, maybe. But like I said, I think they want to generate hype. They want to generate TV viewership. And it's another thing you can put in the off season about now compete again with the AFL in November, December when no one's talking about football or talking about rugby league, and you get them talking about rugby league, you get them talking about off season, so then they get prepared for March, pre-season in March, when the football kicks off again.
I don't mind it. When you sell it to me like that, I don't mind it. In practice, do I see it happening? No.
Does it add any benefit? I don't think so.
No, in terms of making the league,
Like quality of the league,
yeah, having more parity and whatnot.
Not now.
But having the spectacle of it, we talk about the AFL draft probably on a lower level, but the NFL draft, the NBA draft, it's huge.
Yeah.
It brings in eyeballs, right? And it gets all that hype going.
But they have excellent feeder systems. I think that's my point. And everyone gets around those feeder systems.
But how different would it be to the AFL? How much of Nick Dacos have you watched this year? It doesn't matter. It's all around the story. Where are they from? Who's the old man? How they've been going in their own competition. I don't think you necessarily need that American audience like you do with a college basketball or college football kind of setting. I think, the AFL's shown, and they've done it for 25 years plus,
long.
that it is a point of interest, and in more recent years, having it televised and a bit of hoopla around it, it's kind of interesting.
Well, I think the AFL's at that point now where they're kind of finally hitting that mainstream, like, hey,
They can commercialise it.
Exactly.
And they have mimicked an American approach where we're like, okay, what's the measurables? What's a 2K time trial? But
the proper combine and stuff.
Yeah, that's what they got. And they've got kicking drills, and and they've got these kids going through these.
Hey, it's an excellent formula. Just copy it. Like same. I'd say again, rugby league. Like I don't think there's any benefit now, but like if you want to get to the point where AFL is now, you got to spend the next 25 years getting to that point. Like it's you got to start if you want to do it. Start, and then you just got to stick with it, and then. Yeah, hopefully in the 20, 25 years' time, you have the benefit that it is a huge spectacle. People love it. People talk more about grassroots football. Mm-hmm. They get into, they get around more of their local clubs because they've gotten more skin in the game, in the professional game as well. And you create that big model. That's, again, go back to American sports. That's what they've been doing for 100 years to get to the point they are now. And besides having a huge population and massive viewership and billions of dollars, that's how they get to that point. So people still tune in. You still got to you got to have a product that 20 million people plus people want to tune in every week in the States. So that's kind of what they're trying to emulate here. And
I'd be very interested in an NRL draft.
Yeah. Yeah, well,
imagine. So let's take the rookies out of this year, right? You've got Sam Walker, you've got Reece Walsh that performed at a high level.
Yeah, they just dominated Queensland Cup for them.
Imagine,
are they going 1 and 2? Who's going to go first? And the storylines.
It's a talking point.
Yeah, but they would have ended up at Brisbane and Canterbury.
So not that far removed from where they ended up.
Yeah. Well, one of those clubs rejected both of them. So
exactly, exactly. I don't hate the idea of it.
Neither. But
does it eventuate? I don't think so.
Does it add anything next season? No. Or if they do it, if it does anything next season, no. Does it address the issues they have in the current product with the rule set? No. So it's another. It's not a Band-Aid. It's not even the right Band-Aid. It's just another thing that they're thinking of to add, with probably no understanding of the consequences.
Yeah.
Well, the on-field product is probably what you need to think about more. There's even talk about the 2-ref system needed to come back this year after everyone had been ignoring it for a long time, especially during COVID where they got rid of it. And everyone was like, no one was talking about it. And now they brought it back up. It was like, oh, yeah, maybe we should go back to that 2-ref system. Anyway, they don't know. They don't know the rules again. They don't know. As an administration, I think they're struggling. They're making fuckloads of money, which I think's been beneficial. They're getting a huge club to come in and make money. So from that regards, they're doing okay. They've, of course, cut a whole bunch of jobs and stuff like to get to that point. But anyway, enough about the NRL.
The F1 boys, it was...
AFL draft, though, of course, 3 weeks away.
And we'll have a little preview going into that, who we think is going where. the F1, the American Grand Prix in Austin, Texas. Was this the first time that it was in Austin?
No, it's been there before, but it's I think it would have been either 2019 or 2018 the last time it was there because they didn't, of course, travel there during COVID.
And fairly new to the tour. Yeah,
yeah, they've only raced in America a couple of times, or at that at least at that track.
140,000 in attendance. That's pretty cool to see.
Yeah, some big names there, of course. Shaq and Serena Williams probably been two of the biggest.
Yep.
You know, getting some of the big name talent celebrities. Of course, the teams bring them in, put them on the grid as well, kind of, you know, to help. You know, as not sponsors, but as and they're not mouthpieces either. They're
just to bring attention to the teams.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's like I think I saw like Ben Stiller was in the garage of one of the teams. So
really?
So like you just have him there.
It's like filming like a Taylor Jack Johnson kind of candid, video, but it's just him with an F1 team.
That's it. Yeah. That's it. Yeah.
Directing it. Watched that the other day. It's a good song.
So from the actual race, I'll give a really quick summary of it because I think the main conversation I want to have is about the championship. So Max Verstappen, of course, wins the race. Lewis Hamilton finishes second. Max was P1 after qualifying. He does lose that position to Hamilton on the first corner at the start of this race. But Red Bull and Max come back through their tyre strategy in this. They undercut Lewis and they retake the lead. But because of that strategy, late they have worse tyres than Lewis has. And Lewis, of course, comes back through the field, essentially chasing, and they only finish 1.3 seconds apart. So essentially,
it was a really exciting race.
Really, really close. You know, you could see that Hamilton was chasing him down and was really pushing him hard to finish that off.
It was really intense as well because they were re-lapping, I think, some of the back markers. So Verstappen was having to fight through other cars lapping.
Making sure Mazepin gets out of the fucking way.
Well, that's it. Like they're all supposed to get blue flagged and supposed to let them through, but they're obviously racing as well against the cars in front of them.
So they got pick and choose.
There was a train, so Hamilton arguably was able to catch up to Verstappen fairly quickly because they got caught up in traffic.
Yep.
There was obviously the tyre issues that you mentioned, but it was really close racing towards the end.
What's a lap worth at Austin? Like in terms of time? So what kind of time were they making up? A few minutes?
It'd be between a minute and a minute 30 is usually lap times for an F1 car.
Yeah, so Lewis had fastest lap at a minute 38.485. So Lewis would have been at least 4 or 5 seconds down.
Mm-hmm. But he closed
into the closing laps. Yeah, he closed that off pretty quickly. So you have to be within a second to get DRS, which gives you more speed.
Yeah, about 30 extra Ks.
Yeah, so he was, in the last couple of laps, he was coming up to that mark. I think in the last lap, he came into that 1 second, within 1 second gap. But I think he took a corner too fast and then actually lost some speed. So he bumps himself back out of that by that DRS detection zone, which is where they detect whether you're within 1 second to into that straight where you can change your car setup. So he just bumped himself out of that. Arguably, if he stayed in that DRS zone, he would have won the race.
Yeah, right.
So it was it's literally like a
one
race
mistake and
not much in it.
Not much in it at all.
What is it? 50 odd lap race, one mistake in one corner.
Yeah. Literally came down to the last 1-2 laps.
Yeah.
So how many points between them and how many races to go?
Yeah, it's just before we get to that, shout out to Perez, who did finish third for Red Bull. Came out after the race. He had no water throughout the entire race. So for an hour and a half, almost 2 hour race in Austin, Texas, in a hot car on a hot track, no water at all. They have a full drink system, tubed into them so they can take water when they need it, so they stay hydrated. He did the whole race without any hydration.
Why wasn't his working?
I think it was empty. I think they forgot to fill it, or it had a bee stick in it, and he drank it on for a couple laps in, and they had nothing left. So he did the whole race without it. So he was, And you got to remember, these cars are physically exhausting to drive. They don't have all the niceties you have of your minivan. So
No aircon.
yeah, exactly. Besides the wind,
Don't
going
need it
through
when
the
you
ears.
drive when you're going down the straight at like 300 k's.
Yeah, exactly. So big shout out to him
No, yeah.
for being a soldier through that and getting there. I think Ricardo finished fifth as well in this. Got over 100 points in the season. So McLaren are doing pretty good. I think their fight with Ferrari has been really good. But back to your point. I think, how many races are there, James? I think there's 12 points. Max got another 6 on Lewis in this one, so I think he's 6 and 6.
The gap, yep. So Verstappen is on 287.5. Hamilton is on 275.5. So
What's the difference, James?
12 points there. Yeah. I can do those maths. Don't have to carry anything or anything without that stuff.
I don't think you had to in the past when you got them wrong.
True.
How many races have we got left?
There is 5 races left. So we've got Mexico, not this weekend, next weekend. And then we head across to Brazil. Then we've got Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and Abu Dhabi.
Fishing Abu Dhabi,
Yep.
So, 5 races left. Of course, winner gets 25, second place gets 19. 18, sorry.
Yep.
7 points in it.
So 7-point difference.
Fuck all, really, with 5 races to go.
Yeah, well, exactly. And if they're finishing 1 and 2, if Max finished second and Hamilton finished first in 2 of those races, then he retakes that
Swings back
lead.
the
So
other way.
it is very close battle in this. But I am of the opinion, I think Max is starting to insert himself into this picture of, I'm the world champion this season.
Okay.
That's my thought. I think Lewis, I think he's played second fiddle. I'm going to say it. I think and throughout the season, he's been chasing Max. That's the way I think the season feels like. He hasn't been the one dominating, and Max is going to come through and win it at the end. I think Max has been in front, and Lewis has, excellent driver, of course. He's definitely, and he's had, the challenges throughout the year, but I think he's just feels to me like he's chasing Max, the young lion, in this instance. And for me, I think Max can, win a couple of those races, extend his lead a little bit. And I think he will win this F1 championship. And he's 23 or 24, James. I don't think he's the youngest ever F1 champion, but he's pretty young. Yeah, probably the start of his reign as F1 champion if Red Bull can, keep this form going into the new regulations next season and the season beyond. But
for mine, this goes back to the last time perhaps we were in this studio a long time ago, and I was thinking, is this just a 2-horse race? Yeah. And that's the way it's eventuated.
Yeah. We thought maybe some of the others might do something. Hasn't eventuated. No. It is the 2-horse race. And, you're talking about 2 of the best drivers in the entire world.
Sure.
So yeah, they've definitely kind of pushed their cases for why they're so good. There's a reason Lewis won 7 championships, and Max, as the young lion, he's ready to start his dynasty, as you will.
Could be.
As a potential world champion.
Yeah, you mentioned the new regulation changes and stuff like this. This is probably Max's best opportunity with all the unknowns next year.
Exactly. Who knows next year?
To win that championship. So
you'd think Red Bull and Mercedes, with their financial backing and their experience building of fast race cars, they should still be good next year. But again, like you say, who knows? Maybe it takes them a year to get to that point, and someone like McLaren or Ferrari comes back through. Yeah. They just have the right car at the right time, and they win next season.
That's it. I mean, they're still almost 100 points ahead of the next person there. So even if they do take a step back next year with all the different car setups, they're still competitors. I will say, as a general statement, I think McLaren have been one of the funner teams to follow and watch this season, with Lando and Ricciardo there. I think they've been doing, and their battle with Ferrari has been excellent as well. So I think though they haven't quite pushed themselves into that conversation yet, with those 2 teams we mentioned before, they're definitely starting, and they've been doing some really good work there. So yeah. So in terms of the constructor standings, Mercedes in front with 460.5. We've got Red Bull at 437.5. So you think Mercedes has probably got them there for the rest of the season. And then, you do have that drop off with McLaren sitting at 254, Ferrari very close behind them at 250.5, and then again a huge drop off to Alpine. They're at 104.
Is it the same point system for the construction? Because
so the points awarded.
Is it 25 and 18
so it goes. So where your driver finishes, they've got two drivers, of course. So they take those 2 points and put it on your championship. So that's why someone like Mercedes, who've got Valtteri, who's been doing really well, finishing second and third for them.
Still gathering
He's
points.
still gathering big points for them. And, of course, Perez finishing third really helps Red Bull. But they, to win the championship, you need the both.
Be hard, but not out of the question for Red Bull to do it with 5 races to go.
Yeah, exactly. Perez can finish ahead of, Valtteri on a regular basis and maybe even potentially push out Lewis a couple of times, which will help Max, of course. They can get enough points to push themselves into first place there for the Constructors Championship.
The World Series, boys.
Let's finish with some MLB.
not admittedly, our strong suit.
Exactly. The reason why it's 3 hours and 20 deep. So if you're this far in,
thank you.
Yeah,
and may God have mercy on your soul.
Yes. Hopefully the dribble hasn't been too bad. But we will finish with the World Series. Atlanta, I think, smashed the Astros in the first game.
7-2.
Yeah, they really got off to a red hot start in that, hitting homer after homer. But Astros, of course, going back to them, they tie it up, one apiece. So it's starting, of course. Well, I was worried that with the way Atlanta played in the first game, that they were just going to walk all over them. But it was great to see.
That's baseball. That's baseball.
That is baseball. It can turn around and come back very, very quickly. So it was excellent to see them do that in that case and make it an interesting World Series.
What I wanted to ask you boys, avid baseball fans, of course, it's a World Series. Can we name a player from each team?
And I actually thought about this during the week that I was going to study this and name both teams, or go through the whole list.
And did you?
No, I didn't because I got busy cursing Fangio during the week. So I forgot about it. Anyway,
it's a World Series. It's big. Something that we need to talk about is that the MLB wanted to reschedule World Series matchups to go up against Thursday Night Football because the NFL is just killing it.
Around it. Yeah, NBA did it as well with their I think their analyst program, especially with Shaq and Charles on there. The NFL, even on Thursday nights, fucking killing it. Yeah. Let's not go head to head to it. Let's switch it up and put it somewhere else where we can get the viewership and the numbers that we need.
Well, the take-home message is that the NFL is king. It's by far and away the most popular sport in the United States.
Well, I think the commish for MLB even conceded that the baseball's no longer the national sport. So, which is a huge statement, even coming from the commish. I think, especially
coming from.
I think you want him to bleed baseball to the point that even if they are losing, a code war, sports war between them. That they'd still push the agenda that hey, we're still the national sport, the pastime, the baseball, of course, for American pastimes. But hey, like we said, NFL's killing it. Thursday Night Football's killing it. Putting fucking Cards versus Packers,
huge.
One loss between them. That's a huge game on Thursday Night Football, which is absolutely ridiculous. I think if I can find it very, very quickly. Was it from the top 25 matches? 25.
This is your story.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Yeah, and of course, when I said, can I find it quickly? Here it is. So 2021 season to date, the average viewership per game for an NFL game, 16.6 million. Top 33 NRL games are the top 33 shows on TV since the start of the 2021 season. So if you don't understand, 33 top TV shows, all 33 NFL games.
Yeah.
The top 5 games have done between 22 to 26 million viewership, with the Patriots Buccaneers game as the top one at 26.
The theatre of it.
So on average, averaging 60.6, but from last year up 11%. Probably the addition of fans helps that, and football back.
Yeah.
The NFL going from gangbusters at the moment, and the other leagues starting to concede that they may be behind.
Here's one for you.
And
If it was an NBA playoffs game versus a
they wouldn't move it.
Thursday night football game, I think that's a different story.
Yeah.
Yep.
But it seems from the outside looking in that baseball,
But both in their regular seasons, or even the World Series, baseball's struggling.
Yeah.
And I had a point that I was going to make, but
It must have been important.
fuck, no.
I'll sit here and wait.
Fuck you, James.
Well, no, I think you were talking like during the week as well. Like when you've got MLB games going past midnight, it's very hard to sort of
On a Thursday night, people got to get up, go to work.
yeah, it's very hard to sort of keep that engagement. So I'm not sure what the dynamic is between games. I don't know if that was an exception to the rule, had stoppage or innings just ran over or whatever. But yeah, is it the format of the game?
Do you want a T20 in baseball? Is that what you're telling me?
Shorten it. Oh, yeah. I find baseball. Look, and we're
Well,
Australians.
come out and hit homers. That's what people want to see.
We're Australians. We're going to be,
Snobs.
I mean, yeah.
we're
if you
going to
look
be
at-
skewed one way. But the thing is,
It is.
we're also Australians, and a lot of our parents and a lot of older, generations ago, the NFL, they wear helmets and they wear shoulder pads
they're
and
soft.
they're soft and basketball. There's Americans, and there seems to be that the younger generation gravitating towards those sports, but not necessarily baseball and hockey,
short attention spans.
possibly.
You look at baseball, you've got 9 innings.
9 innings. Got both sides got to
Both
play.
Low
Yeah.
scoring.
And it's low scoring. So
Hey, if you like it, but the thing is, if you like pitching, you like elite fielding, you like elite pitching.
Yeah.
So you find enjoyment in that if that's what you follow in the sport. So, and that's the length and how they play the game. But you've seen it with cricket. Test cricket is still the pinnacle of the sport, and a lot of people like it. But then
Slow and drawn out.
yeah, slow and drawn out. But then T20 is where it's at. That's if you look at the IPL and how many zeros were attached to that versus Test cricket. You can see there's a big difference in my opinion there.
Maybe.
I just wanted to say
I strongly disagree.
I know you do. I just want to say as well for the NFL, like we're talking 5 years ago, potentially the death of the league with concussions and where they were going, the juniorship going through. I think they've done probably a pretty good job in their marketing campaign. 2, trying to make the game safer and trying to bring down that concussion rate and make it more appealing to the younger generations. But also, everyone wants to be Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady.
And
That's what
3,
they live
they're
for.
fucking gladiators. Like people want to watch that. Like
Yeah, exactly. It's a warrior sport.
yeah.
So we can see why they are winning against the others because NBA and baseball aren't contact sports.
Sure.
yeah.
Not meant to be. NHL is
Oh, it's
definitely, but it's not a tackling sport either.
No.
There still a fair bit of contact and a lot of knuckles thrown, but it's also very different. Being
Fast.
it's fast, but it's it's on ice versus a pitch. It's there's no direct competition in that regard for the NFL. But maybe there's soccer, but like you put soccer and NFL up against what the rednecks are going to pick.
For sure.
True.
That was a long way to
sum up
to discuss the World Series that we know nothing about.
That is. Did we even discuss it?
No, we didn't.
I just talked.
No, the Braves and the Astros, they're one apiece.
You going to pick one?
I couldn't care.
I'm going to back the Braves.
All right, Atlanta and Houston. Who's going to struggle more? I'm going to go Houston because the Texans will be insufferable this year. So hopefully they can get a win there.
They do have Dallas. They got the Cowboys.
They don't like each other.
True, same state, different city.
A few hours away.
Yeah. Anyway, Marks.
I was going to go Astros as well.
To finish this off, of course, that West Indies game against Bangladesh Bangladesh. I'm Ron Burgundy. Is still underway.
I can't think of another nation in the world that starts with BAN?
Well, I couldn't find it on the screen. That was my bad. West Indies did get 143, which I think is actually pretty good for them.
From where they were.
Doing pretty average. And in response, after 10, Bangladesh were only 45, I think that was, before we went to the ad break.
Big trouble for Bangladesh.
Yeah, I thought they were in a good position there and potentially on the way to a victory. But, yeah, they've started off a bit slow and...
they're in trouble. They're in big trouble. Let's wrap this bitch up.
Yeah. That'll do us 3.5 hours. Talking too much dribble with all the boys, of course, back at the table.
Let's go.
For the
it's
first
fun.
time and
it's good to be back.
2.5 or so months. Yeah, definitely. A lot of NFL chat, a lot of cricket going on, as well as a bit of other news around the leagues. Thank you, boys, as always. Throw us a dirty subscribe if you will.
Dirty.
Pay extra for that.
Yeah.
I thought that was only on OnlyFans.
Always comment. We do like our comments and we do answer questions and get stuck in it. But always, thank you, boys. Thank you for that. And we will see you all next week.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
Catch ya.